Chapter 1461 Weirdly Prosperous. The sovereign immortal aperture was filled with serenity and peace. Because without changes in weather or day and night, this place was completely still. Fang Yuan had rank 7 cultivation level, the sovereign immortal aperture was only a blessed land, there were no weather phenomena in blessed lands. Only at the brink of becoming a grotto heaven would such phenomena emerge. Even without atmospheric changes, the sovereign immortal aperture was not a dead land, it was filled with life. Many northern plains was colder, especially towards the extreme north, there was nothing there. After annexing Han Dong's blessed land, there was a spirit snake resource point managed by the pink spirit snake land spirit. Other than that, he had the bone burial field with lots of bone immortal materials. And to the south, Fang Yuan was trying to create a blood-red grassland with blood sickle grass and red axe flowers as the foundation, to let those pink flower rabbits, wolves, and foxes live in. In mini central continent, there was a blood G forest and mirror willow forest, they were grown here casually by Fang Yuan, he did not nurture them purposely, their scale was not big. There was also a jade light pit that had light path mortal GU. In mini western desert, his focus was on the eerie fire dragon python pit, the sand gull beach, rotten black swamp, rotting swamp, Black Hound Mount belonged to Luyong blessed land, managed by the Black Hound land spirit. There was also a new mortal GU house, Corpse City, which Fang Yuan had obtained from Western Desert's Translocation Desert. Most of the immortal materials inside were traded to Thousand Transformations little was left. In mini Eastern Sea, it was no longer a shallow body of water, it had a trace of an ocean's capacity. Especially the two sea areas, Dragon Scale Sea Area and Wuyi Hai Sea Area. For the former, Fang Yuan had invested a lot of finances and energy into creating this large-scale resource point, and for the latter, after annexing Wuyi Hai's blessed land, the sea turtle was managing it for Fang Yuan. There were 3 ancient desolate beast horned divine tortoises, a field of ancient desolate plant silent corals, and 6 desolate beast white letter blue feather seagulls. Other than the 2 sea areas, there was a blood lake, it was not too big, Fang Yuan had used it to repair blood acid immortal GU earlier, he had kept it for now, the water of the lake has collected a lot of desolate beast and GU immortal blood. Below the blood lake, there were many shallow seas, arranged by Fang Yuan specially to raise the air bubble fish, literature carps, jade carps, blood jade carps and others, there was even an ancient desolate beast hidden room oyster, Fang Yuan had obtained it in Eastern Sea. The secluded domain of heaven and earth, reverse flow river, was also placed here. Mini southern border was the region with the most development among all of them. There was 5 Light Mountain, Immortal Succession Mountain, Become Dragon Mound, Heaven Sealing Mountain, and a dozen other nameless mountains, as well as Coiling Thread Caves and the Stalactite Cave. In the forest and underground, a small number of rockmen were living here, the vegetation included musical trees, tea streams, chi-death birds and others, creating an ecosystem with great vitality. As for the miniature 9 heavens, Mini Red Heaven had a large number of year beasts and that immemorial year monkey. Fang Yuan had been paying attention to Mini Orange Heaven recently, there was the light shine fungi that made the scale of aurora lights expand rapidly, and more flowing light fruits were being nurtured within. Mini Yellow Heaven was very empty, there was only a tiny gold fragment current. Mini Green Heaven was completely empty, but Fang Yuan had placed dream realms in it previously. Mini Azure Heaven had the pill Azure Incense, this was the food of Change Soul Immortal GU, Fang Yuan had stored a batch in here last time. There was also a heavenly crystal storage pool, it was at the center of Mini Azure Heaven, but it was useless. Mini Blue Heaven had the most development among the miniature 9 heavens. There was a lot of cloud soil here, with lots of star path resources planted here, like arrow bamboo forest and the star fragment grass field, meteorite pit, and a huge floating star fragment island. It was Yilui Qunzing's blessed land, Fang Yuan had annexed it with the star core land spirit managing the place. There was also a falling star hound infant living here. It was very lonely but it would clash with other desolate beasts and ancient desolate beasts elsewhere. After keeping it here, Fang Yuan rarely took care of it. In Mini Purple Heaven, there were groups of eagles. These eagles were desolate beasts and also ancient desolate beasts. Fang Yuan had sold Immortal GU during the Dream Realm incident to purchase them. They had helped him to enslave the upper extreme heavenly eagle to survive the danger, they were extremely useful. Fang Yuan had wanted to sell them, but he could definitely not get Immortal GU with them, it would be a huge loss. And since he took more than 80 eagle nests from He Tribe's headquarters, he could raise these eagles in them, even though it was not as amazing as the heavenly crystal eagle nest. In the remaining 2 heavens, Mini White Heaven had an eagle hound group, 3 ancient remnant heavenly dogs, and the plantation field of multicolored overlord flowers. Mini Black Heaven had no light at all, it was a special environment, there were only a few ancient desolate plant-walking meat trees there. After collating all these assets, Fang Yuan was already on par with some rank 8 GU immortals. But for the size of the entire immortal aperture, these resources were too little. The reason? The sovereign immortal aperture was simply too large. In the 335,000 square kilometers of space, these resources only occupied a small amount of space. And in terms of the entire sovereign immortal aperture's development, assuming 100% of the space could be used, Fang Yuan was merely slightly above 3% now. 3% development. This was naturally not bad, it was a good thing. The sovereign immortal aperture had unparalleled prospects, but from another perspective, Fang Yuan had no confidence in when he would reach 100% development. This would be a huge task, he would need an extremely huge amount of time. Throughout history, GU Immortals had created an evaluation of immortal aperture development. There were 7 levels. The first level was establishing mortal resources, to produce mortal GU materials, and ordinary beasts and plants. These resources were in huge scales. Mortals could only raise 5 to 6 mortal GU at a time. But GU Immortals raised millions of mortal GU at once. Fang Yuan even sold more than 100 million year GU earlier. The second level was to create immortal level resources and produce immortal materials. When this level is accomplished, the GU Immortal will be able to produce food for their immortal GU self-sufficiently. The third level was to create an ecology to raise immortal beasts and plants. The fourth level was to use excess immortal materials, beasts, and plants to trade and earn profits. Looking at this, Fang Yuan was at the fourth level because he had a lot of business that were doing well to earn him lots of profits. Earlier in the year GU business, Fang Yuan used his great strength to dominate the market in Treasure Yellow Heaven, the 3 sellers were completely helpless against him. But from another perspective, I am still at the second level, because I have not reached self-sufficiency in feeding my immortal GU. Fang Yuan knew why, he had simply too many immortal GU. Rank 8. Attitude, Wisdom Sword, Years flow like water. Rank 7. Sword Eyebrows, Wave Sword, Flying Sword, Sword Escape, Year, After, Divination Tortoise Shell, Dragon Breath, Dragon Scale, Precaution, Big, Fight, Affection, Self-Love, Perseverance, Reputation Restriction, Change Soul, Bloodline, Dragon Strength, Formation Flag, and others. Rank 6. Self-Strength, Pulling Mountain, Pulling Water, Strength Chi, Spring Autumn Cicada, Landscape as Before, Man as Before, Day, Unravel Mystery, Vajra Thought, Dog Shit Luck, Chi Luck, Woman's Heart, Blood Acid, Change Form, Star Eyes, Perceivable Tao, Yellow Sand, Cleanse Soul, Luck Inspection, Connect Luck, Time Luck, Star Thought, and others. For the last 4 including Luck Inspection, Fang Yuan had owned them before, but after the Battle of Yitian Mountain, due to Change Soul, Ying Wuxie took them away. Fang Yuan used his special will to destroy a few, but Ying Wuxie managed to preserve some of them in the end. Furthermore, there were some Wisdom Path Immortal GU that Purple Mountain True Monarch left him, and the Time Path Immortal GU that made up a portion of Graceful Chaotic Dual Stage, they would not be specified. Just counting these, there were more than 50. A shocking number. Most GU Immortals were still desperately trying to find an Immortal GU. In the GU Immortal world, there were the most number of rank 6 GU Immortals, and most of them had no Immortal GU at all. Among the rank 7 and rank 8 GU Immortals, some had 2 or 3 Immortal GU, while others had 5 to 6. But there was a rule, rank 6 GU Immortals desire rank 6 Immortal GU, rank 7 GU Immortals desire rank 7 Immortal GU, and rank 8 GU Immortals desire rank 8 Immortal GU, while rank 9 Venerables wanted rank 9 Immortal GU. But Fang Yuan, he had more than 50 Immortal GU. They encompassed rank 6, rank 7, and rank 8. And this was excluding Calamity Beckoning Lencha Chu Du, Wisdom GU in Langya Blessed Land, and Dark Limit Immortal GU taken by Heavenly Court. There was also the Formation Spirit, it was created by an Immortal GU. Fang Yuan's situation was too special. An otherworldly demon who had reborn, the hope of Red Lotus Demon Venerable, a former pawn of Heaven's Will, and the current leader of Shadow Sect having countless true inheritances. Even though the journey was dangerous and filled with despair, one had to say, immense risk brought about immense benefits. Fang Yuan was weirdly prosperous now. Because of countless fortuitous encounters, he had the economic foundation of level 4 development, but he had not fulfilled the requirement of level 2. Feeding Immortal GU had always been a huge burden and problem to him. But now, after so much hard work, I have finally gotten some hope of resolving this problem. Rank 9 Wisdom GU is fed by the profligate Langya land spirit, and I have already solved the problem of food for the 3 rank 8 Immortal GU. Next, I will complete my basic development and solve the feeding problem of the rank 6 and 7 Immortal GU, to reach self-sufficiency. Looking at it, Fang Yuan still did not have enough Immortal Essence stones. Marriage connection with the snowman. Fang Yuan pondered. When Shui brought him the Snow Lotus Essence, she also expressed the intention of a marriage connection. These variant humans spoke outrightly and directly. If I work by myself to solve the food issue, it will take a long time. But if I use the snowman, my progress will be rapid. What I lack most now is time. I am not against a marriage connection with the snowman. Chapter 1462, Langya Missions. On Danghun Mountain, there were Guts GU everywhere. Fang Yuan picked them along the way as he strengthened his soul. His soul foundation started to increase. After a while, from 1 million man soul, it rose to 5 million man soul level. Fang Yuan felt an extremely bloated feeling, like he was going to burst. Fang Yuan knew he was at his limit. He left Danghun Mountain and came to Luopo Valley. After some cultivation, his soul was refined like tempered steel, it became purer and more condensed. After this, his soul foundation stabilized at 1,500,000 man soul. After million man soul, each cultivation session raises it by 500,000 man soul. Including the time needed to rest my soul, and the production of Guts GU, I need half a year to reach 10 million man soul. Fang Yuan estimated and frowned. This was too slow for him. 10 years, after 10 years, Heavenly Court would completely repair Fate Immortal GU. By then, Heavenly Court would have the absolute advantage, Fang Yuan and Shadow Sect would have no hope. He needed half a year out of 10 years to reach 10 million man soul, there was also 100 million man soul and higher levels after that. Fang Yuan was not satisfied with the speed. If I can increase the production of Guts GU, I could increase my cultivation speed even further. The production of Guts GU was limiting his soul foundation growth. Danghun Mountain was undoubtedly his money tree, but it needed good quality souls to produce more Guts GU endlessly. According to the agreement back then, a portion of these Guts GU belonged to Langya sect. Langya land spirit had to sell them for profits, with a portion of the revenue going to Fang Yuan. Right now, Fang Yuan was using a portion of the Guts GU to cultivate his soul path. It caused his revenue to fall sharply in this business. But thankfully, the year GU business earlier earned him a lot. Fang Yuan had a lot of funds left now. Fang Yuan assessed it was not wise to negotiate with Langya land spirit now to increase his portion of the Guts GU production. Because he needed Langya sect now, be it staying inside Langya blessed land to develop or using them to refine GU. In the batch of Immortal GU refinement earlier, the 3 Immortal GU were extremely useful to Fang Yuan. They were now at the second batch of GU refinement, focusing on Mortal GU like the White Lotus Giant Silkworm GU, and 2 Immortal GU. One was Heavenly Secret, it was created by Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable, and was obtained by Old Man Yan Shi. He created an immortal killer move with it, known as Exposing Heavenly Secret. This move had a mystical effect, it could predict the contents of the following calamity or tribulation. If Langya sect could refine Heavenly Secret Immortal GU, Fang Yuan would be able to use Exposing Heavenly Secret, it would help him in undergoing tribulations tremendously. However, placing a mission for Langya sect to refine Immortal GU has been depleting my sect contribution points, I need to check this. Thus, after the soul cultivation ended, Fang Yuan used his information path Mortal GU to check Langya sect's missions. Undoubtedly, the current Langya land spirit was far more suited for managing Langya sect than the previous land spirit. Under his management, the entire sect was excavating its potential fully, they were bursting with life. At this moment, Langya sect had many missions, most of them were the GU refinement missions that Fang Yuan handed out. Below that, the one of great importance was the exploration of Tai Chu. Ever since Langya sect created the teleportation formation, it had been exploring Tai Chu and excavating the natural resources within. This was the main development route that Langya sect was taking. But Tai Chu was a dangerous place, ordinary GU immortals did not want to enter it, even though there were abundant resources, fierce beasts and dangerous plants grew inside. And the problem was, Langya sect's GU immortals were skilled at refinement but weak at fighting. Even though they had been raising their strength recently, there were few who could fight. Thus, when they encountered overly strong beasts or plants, these hairy man GU immortals would be in trouble. The exploration of Tai Chu was unsuccessful. Seeing these missions, countless thoughts moved about in Fang Yuan's mind rapidly. In a few breaths of time, he chose over a dozen missions with the highest returns. At the next moment, he accepted all of these missions. First Supreme Elder. Fang Yuan communicated with Lang Ya Land Spirit using the information path Mortal Gu. Lang Ya Land Spirit learned of Fang Yuan's actions as he said enjoy. Fang Yuan, with your strength, these missions will be extremely easy. But Fang Yuan shook his head. This is what I wanted to discuss with you. I want to send my subordinates to deal with these missions for me. This does not go against Lang Ya sect's rules, right? Lang Ya Land Spirit was slightly dazed. He did not think of this when he created the sect rules. Speaking of which, this was not a loophole. Why couldn't the Gu Immortal who accepted the mission be allowed to get help? Lang Ya Land Spirit replied to Fang Yuan, then you need to ensure that these subordinates will not harm Lang Ya sect. Fang Yuan smiled. Of course. After communicating with Lang Ya Land Spirit, Fang Yuan started to dispatch the members of Shadow Sect. He Lu Lan, Ying Wu Xie, Fairy Miao Yin, and Lady White Rabbit, it was a waste to let them idle around. Now, they could be fully utilized. Eventually, even Bai Ningbing joined in. Because from her perspective, she allied with Fang Yuan to regain her male body, she needed to refine immortal level yin-yang rotation Gu. But when she realized that Fang Yuan was relying on Lang Ya sect to refine Gu, she turned her attention to Lang Ya sect. Regretfully, Lang Ya sect did not trust the outsider Bai Ningbing. Fang Yuan also secretly disrupted their communication, causing Bai Ningbing to be forced to rely on him. She was Fang Yuan's ally, he had no rights to order her, but why would Fang Yuan waste her battle strength? Under Fang Yuan's special negotiation, Bai Ningbing believed Fang Yuan, as long as she killed more beasts and plants, she would obtain the sect contribution points that Fang Yuan was getting for them, he would use them to place a sect mission to refine yin-yang rotation Immortal Gu. Several days later, Sovereign Immortal Aperture, Mini Northern Plains. Large pieces of round snowflakes were descending from the sky. This special snowflake was pure white with the size of an adult's palm. This was rank 6 immortal material dancing snow, it was formed naturally, and would not melt as long as the temperature was kept at a certain level. It would always stay afloat, even if it landed to the ground, it would fly upwards instead. Fang Yuan inspected and saw no problems, he thought. These days, I finally finished arranging the snowmen's betrothal gift, this project has been completed. The snowmen wanted to have a marriage connection with Fang Yuan, Shui would not come empty-handed of course. She brought a gift. The main portion was the snow lotus essence. This was a specialty immortal material of the snowmen, it was rare in treasure yellow heaven, Fang Yuan obtained quite a bit of it as he stored it in many northern plains. The second highest quantity was the dancing snow. It was coincidentally a rank 6 wisdom path immortal goose food, Fang Yuan could feed it 4 to 5 times with this batch. The difficulty of feeding rank 6 immortal Gu was very different from feeding rank 8 immortal Gu. This was a small surprise, Fang Yuan did not need to waste his effort going to treasure yellow heaven to purchase dancing snow. Other than that, there were some resources that were not so useful. Fang Yuan sold some and kept some, he perfectly utilized them. This is too little, if I can get more resources, my immortal aperture's development will be even faster. Since the snowmen want a marriage connection with me, just these gifts are insufficient. Fang Yuan sneered inside, he accepted all of the gifts but did not respond directly to the snowmen's request for a marriage connection. When the guts Gu accumulated to a certain scale, Fang Yuan started his soul path cultivation again. Day after day, he immersed himself in cultivation. His soul foundation was growing at a rapid rate. Other than soul path, he even used the light of wisdom to modify killer moves. He had a great number of killer moves, they involved almost all paths. He needed to modify the useful killer moves from within them so that he could use them with his available immortal Gu. This would greatly increase his methods and battle strength. Fang Yuan was deep in cultivation, while Shadow Sect's members were exploring Taichu and fighting. Sixth Hair and Lang Ya Land Spirit were refining immortal Gu for Fang Yuan. Almost everyone was busy with their goals, but Shui became the most anxious one now. This beauty of the snowman tribe had an important mission from the snowmen, but Fang Yuan took the gifts without even seeing her. She was left hanging here without any attention given. Shui had asked to meet Fang Yuan several times, but she was only a rank 6 Gu immortal while Fang Yuan had rank 8 battle strength. The two of them were too different in strength, and because he was in Lang Ya blessed land, Fang Yuan rejected her each time. This way, Shui could not meet him, she felt extremely dispirited, the worry and anger on her face became deeper each day. On this day, the snowmen sent her a letter to rush her again, but Shui had hope now. Because the snowman tribe saw that Shui was making no progress, they discussed among themselves. They came to a consensus. Since Fang Yuan accepted the gifts, he wanted the marriage connection. But why did he not meet Shui? It was because the gifts were not enough for his high status. Thus, the snowman gathered some more gifts and sent it along with the letter to Shui. What is this? I am the pride of the snowman, my beauty is renowned. This time, I requested for a marriage connection and even brought sufficient gifts. But it was not enough to meet him even once. With heavy emotions, Shui requested to meet Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan finally met her. But what he said to her was something out of her expectations. Chapter 1463, Testing Shui. Fang Yuan looked down towards Shui. She was young and beautiful, she was tall and vibrant, she had blue eyes and hair, she had the icy trait of her variant human race. Her tender skin and plump chest would make countless men pay attention towards her. She was undoubtedly the #1 beauty of the snowman tribe. But Fang Yuan was unmoved by her beauty. Not just that, he even found trouble with her. This is the sincerity of the snowman. Shui could not understand what Fang Yuan meant. She quickly said, Lord Fang Yuan, please do not misunderstand. Such a small gift and you want to have a marriage connection with me. Your tribe is dreaming if they think it is so easy to gain help equivalent to that of a rank 8. Fang Yuan sneered. Shui was dazed. Fang Yuan spoke so plainly she could not accept it. She also felt some shame and anger in her heart. She was the cream of her generation, the publicly recognized #1 beauty. She was bringing gifts to request for a marriage connection, she was lowering her head and status. To think that Fang Yuan was so prideful and looked down on her, he was also extremely greedy, thinking that the snowman gift was insincere. How could it be little? The gift was very precious, the snowman tribe had picked all of it from their inventory specially for Fang Yuan. Originally, Shui had a good impression of Fang Yuan. After all, he had incredible talent and had rank 8 battle strength, it was an achievement that not many could attain. But now, her impression of him became rock bottom. With her temper, she would have left long ago. But now, it was not about her alone, she was tasked by her tribe for this important mission. Shui breathed in deeply, asking, Lord Fang Yuan, you have already taken 2 sets of gifts, I am sure you agree to our marriage connection. If you are unhappy with the gifts, you can give us your requests. I will bring them back for our elders to discuss. Fang Yuan had prepared the list long ago, an information path mortal Gu flew out of him and went to Shui. This, Shui took a look and her eyes popped out. Fang Yuan's greed was too shocking. But even when she was shocked, she was very beautiful, her eyes were wide open, even though she lost a portion of her coolness, she became quite cute. Not just this list, Fang Yuan added, you have other requests. Shui had an unsightly expression as she held down her anger. But Fang Yuan was confident and unabashed. He spoke matter-of-factly, if your tribe can meet my requirements, that would be enough. But you yourself have not expressed enough sincerity. My sincerity? Fang Yuan raised his head as he smiled. Not just anyone can become my wife, Fang Yuan's wife. Even though the snowman recommended you, your qualifications will depend on my test. Test? Shui gritted her teeth. Please explain to me, Lord Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan said, go to Taichu and collect souls for me. When you leave, someone will arrange it for you. Shui felt anguished, how could a genius like her be treated in such a cold manner? But due to the mission from her sect, she had to nod and agree. Seeing Shui leave, Fang Yuan pondered deeply. With this arrangement, he could make use of Shui's battle strength, there would be another person helping him cultivate faster. But that was not important. He was actually trying to probe them. Accepting the second gift while expressing his displeasure and wanting to test Shui, he showed his pride fully, this was to test the bottom line of the snowmen. Since they wanted a marriage connection, how much determination did they have? Or rather, the higher their determination, the more benefits Fang Yuan could squeeze out from them. Fang Yuan was not anxious. A marriage connection could not be decided in such a short time. Both sides were not familiar with each other yet, even though Fang Yuan was probing them, the snowmen were also probing Fang Yuan. But Fang Yuan was sure that there were benefits to be gained here. The marriage connection was not the main thing. Fang Yuan quickly set it aside and placed his attention on his cultivation. Soul cultivation was one aspect, managing his immortal aperture was another. Other than that, Fang Yuan also used the light of wisdom to modify his killer moves. Fang Yuan's strongest method was undoubtedly immortal killer move reverse flow protection seal, but he was not modifying that now. Even though this move was not safe against Heavenly Court now, Fang Yuan was in no immediate danger. Not only was he in northern plains, he was also inside Langya blessed land. He had the concealment of ghost soldier garment. Heavenly court could not find him in the meantime. And there was another reason. Modifying reverse flow protection seal would take too much time. It was too slow. Fang Yuan thought about it and decided to modify Purple Mountain True Monarch's Wisdom Path killer moves. Why did he choose those? Firstly, these killer moves were very powerful and exceptional. Secondly, Fang Yuan had Grandmaster Wisdom Path attainment level, he was qualified to modify them. Finally, Fang Yuan had a batch of Wisdom Path Immortal GU with him. They were left behind by Purple Mountain True Monarch. Purple Blood River Formation, Purple Thought Light Shield, Ignited Thought Flying Rock, Single Thought Flower Blossom, Purple Thought Perception Starlight, Directional Confusion Fog, Thought Body Defense, Single Thought Myriad Flow Elimination, and others. When Purple Mountain True Monarch was not in his peak condition, he used these methods to face Duke Long. Who was Duke Long? He was the master of Red Lotus. He had a huge background and unparalleled battle strength. He was at the peak of rank 8. When Fang Yuan was modifying his killer moves, Ying Wuxie approached Shui Er. You are Shui Er? Ying Wuxie asked. Shui Er saw that Ying Wuxie was smaller in stature than her, resembling a young girl. He had pale snow-like skin, he was wearing a flowery green dress, there were 2 pearl earrings hanging on his ears, as if water was inside the pearls, there were green ripples inside when they shook. Ying Wuxie was in Fairy Kui Bo's body, he was very enchanting. If not so, Thousand Transformations' ancestor would not have made her his third concubine and adored her deeply. Who is this beautiful immortal? What relationship does she have with Fang Yuan? This is not in our tribe's information, and she is a rank 7 GU immortal. Shui Er had lots of suspicions, but she smiled. I am Shui Er, beautiful sister, may I know what your name is? Ying Wuxie frowned. He was initially very excited about using Fairy Kui Bo's body. But after a while, he felt like it was getting very uncomfortable. Not long ago, he requested to Fang Yuan to change this body. Even if he changed to a rank 6 body, it was fine as long as he could cultivate soul path. Don't call me sister, you can call me brother Wuxie. Ying Wuxie waved his hand. Let's go, I will bring you to Taichu and meet up with them. This is sect leader's test to you, we will see who obtains higher quality souls in the same period of time. Yes, Shui Er quickly answered, but she had many questions in her. She walked at the back as she stared at Ying Wuxie, thinking, this female immortal is so weird, she wants me to call her brother. The two left Langya blessed land and reached Taichu using the teleportation GU formation. Once they entered Taichu, Shui Er felt nervous. After all, this was a famous place in northern plains for its danger level. At the same time, she felt uneasy towards the test. She only had rank 6 cultivation level and her investigative methods were her forte. Come with me, quick quick quick. Time is very precious, we need to treasure every moment and use it to cultivate. We need to continue working hard, that is the true meaning of life. Ying Wuxie continued to nag at Shui Er, he was very determined. This was the effect of Immortal Killer move Soaring Fighting Spirit. Shui Er felt that Ying Wuxie was really weird, she was so beautiful, but she acted like a rash lad, it was unimaginable. But are we too careless by flying like this? Shui Er was worried, this was Taichu, fierce beasts roamed everywhere, danger was everywhere. Flying around openly like this made them open targets. While flying, Shui Er felt very nervous, she was afraid of a fierce beast assaulting her out of nowhere. But after flying for a while, her worry did not become real. In fact, her worry was fading, she felt deeply shocked internally. The area around the teleportation formation has been cleared by Langya sect and is in their control. They have actually explored Taichu to this extent. It seems that Langya sect's strength surpasses my tribe's estimations. Shui Er immediately sent this information back to the snowmen. Oh, there are a group of dragon elephants. Suddenly, Shui Er said. Ying Wuxie who was traveling with her looked with surprise, he thought that this woman had some of her own worth. Ying Wuxie's methods only found those dragon elephants a few breaths of time after Shui Er. Shadow Sect's investigative methods were naturally superior to Shui Er's, but in Ying Wuxie's current body, those methods were restricted. These dragon elephants are needed by sect leader, let's capture them. Ying Wuxie changed his flying direction. Shui Er was not surprised, because she had looked at Fang Yuan's list, there were dragon elephants listed on it. This group of dragon elephants was quite ordinary, there were only 2 or 3 desolate level dragon elephants. Ying Wuxie quickly landed as he used his Soul Path Immortal Killer move. His soul howl reverberated among the dragon elephant group as they all fainted and fell unconscious. An impressive technique. Shui was slightly shocked, but a new question arose within. She has water path aura, why is she using a soul path method? Ying Wuxie was most skilled in lead soul into dream, but the GU worms to construct this move were kept by Fang Yuan. Only a few soul path immortal GU were left for Ying Wuxie. Thus, his main methods were soul path. Ying Wuxie kept these dragon elephants in his immortal aperture as he continued on the journey with Shui. A moment later, they met with He Lulan. Another great beauty. Shui first frowned before her brows relaxed. She observed secretly. Compared to Wuxie, this person only has rank 6 cultivation level, she is the same as me. Shui let out a sigh of relief inside. Chapter 1464. No wonder Fang Yuan thinks little of me. Shui was a talented descendant of the Snowman tribe, she was a genius, but the Snowman tribe undoubtedly had little resources. Shui was able to become rank 6 at such an age, it was quite incredible. But after meeting with Ying Wuxie, she could not match this rank 7, although she showed nothing on the surface, she felt great pressure in her heart. Now that she saw a rank 6 immortal, her heavy heart became slightly lighter. Hi, you can call me Shui. Shui first introduced herself, she felt that she should be friendly to the people under Fang Yuan, to create a good relationship with them. Hello, you can call me Lulan. He Lulan smiled, her gaze flickered as she assessed Shui subtly. She thought, Snowman Gu Immortal. Why did she approach us? Fang Yuan, what is he thinking? The snowman wanted a marriage connection with Fang Yuan, he did not inform anyone other than Ying Wuxie. Thus, He Lulan only knew that Fang Yuan wanted the Shadow Sect Immortals to take Shui along and work together in the meantime to explore Taichu. Alright, now that you've done the introductions, let's leave first. Ying Wuxie said. He took out an information path GU worm and used his method to learn about Fairy Meow Yin's and Lady White Rabbit's location. He Lulan, go ahead with your work, I will bring Shui to the others. Seeing the two of them leave, He Lulan had a thought. Her instincts told her that Shui joined them very suddenly and mysteriously, her goal was not simple. He Lulan was an ambitious person, even though she was under the alliance agreement and lost her freedom, she had been wanting to break free of Fang Yuan's control all along. Who would not want freedom? Wait, I'll go with you. I am in charge of finding the sharp tusk boars, but I can't find any. I will ask Miao Yin to help me find them. He Lulan said as she flew towards them. Shui was very happy, she wanted to get closer to He Lulan. He Lulan also wanted to probe information from her, she acted very warmly and kindly. Thus, with Ying Wuxie at the lead, Shui and He Lulan traveled together behind him. Elder sister Lulan, I am very happy to meet you. Not long later, Shui addressed He Lulan as elder sister, placing herself at a lower status. This dumb woman, He Lulan snorted in her heart. She was once the victor of the imperial court contest, she had a deep hatred and lived with difficulty under her father's shadow, she was skilled at scheming. Compared to her, Shui lived peacefully in the Snowman tribe, due to her past, she was quite innocent in nature. He Lulan soon found that Shui wanted to know about the Shadow Sect Immortals desperately. She made use of Shui's intention, she exposed some useful information while probing her. Shui was guarded of course, but she could not match He Lulan's scheming, just as she was about to expose herself, Ying Wuxie interjected, isn't that a sharp tusk boar? He Lulan, you are very lucky, you will not need to owe Miao Yin a favor now. Following Ying Wuxie's direction, Shui indeed saw an ancient desolate beast. It was huge and had bulky muscles, it was lying on the ground as it slept, it had a powerful aura. Shui's heart jumped, with her battle strength, she was not the sharp tusk boar's match. He Lulan was interrupted, she felt angry but she could not retort to Ying Wuxie, she snorted and flew towards the sharp tusk boar. Sister Lulan, be careful. Shui said in concern, she praised in her heart, this sister Lulan that she had just met was really courageous. But with her rank 6 cultivation level, how could she deal with the sharp tusk boar? She had to rely on this fairy Kui Bo after all. But the following scene made Shui completely stunned. He Lulan was even fiercer than the sharp tusk boar, when she fought, her aura changed instantly, she was blazing in flames, her heaven-blazing flames were terrifyingly powerful. Rank 6 Immortal GU, Rank 7 Immortal GU, so many Immortal GU. Shui watched the battle and her eyelids twitched, she saw how rich He Lulan was. He Lulan had obtained Blazing Heaven Demoness, Inheritance and Immortal GU, Fang Yuan did not take them since he had enough Immortal GU, leaving them for He Lulan would allow her to fight effectively and obtain more souls. Under He Lulan's terrifying attacks, the sharp-tusked boar was first furious before going into a frenzy and escaping after losing. Shui was very shocked. He Lulan exploded with battle strength that was on par with rank 7 experts. It was out of Shui's expectations. Sister Lulan is so strong. Her immortal killer moves are so powerful and overwhelming. But she clearly has strength path aura. Why is she using fire path methods? Mixed in with her shock was suspicion. Shui did not understand. Fairy Quibo had water path aura, but she used soul path methods. And now this He Lulan was a strength path GU immortal but used fire path instead. Alright, let's continue. A moment later, He Lulan collected the sharp tusk boar corpse, including its ancient desolate soul as well. Sister Lulan, you are amazing. Shui looked at He Lulan with an incredulous gaze. He Lulan shook her head. This is nothing. No, you are really amazing. You have rank 6 GU immortal cultivation level but rank 7 battle strength. This is not achievable by normal GU immortals. Shui waved her hands. He Lulan smiled bitterly. This is really nothing. In Shadow Sect, I am very ordinary. Shui heard He Lulan's reply and her heart jumped. He Lulan, when you see them, you will understand. Let's go. He Lulan had completed her mission, but she did not return directly. She decided to find the other Shadow Sect GU immortals with Shui. A while later, they successfully met up with Fairy Meow Yin and Lady White Rabbit. Lady White Rabbit had rank 6 cultivation level normally. She did not have He Lulan's battle strength. It was dangerous for her to explore Taichu alone. Thus, Fang Yuan let her and Fairy Meow Yin work together. Of course, when she became Black Tigress, her cultivation level and battle strength would rise to rank 7. However, her Black Tigress state was unstable and could not last long. It had its drawbacks. Hello Shui. Fairy Meow Yin smiled kindly. You are a snowman GU immortal. This is the first time I am seeing one. Lady White Rabbit said faintly. What situation is this? Shui was suspicious and depressed. Fairy Meow Yin was a publicly recognized fairy in Southern Borders GU immortal world. She had a beautiful body and alluring face. She wore a pinkish red dress and looked extremely enchanting. As for Lady White Rabbit, she had pale white skin and huge innocent eyes. She was completely pure. Her aura was different from Fairy Meow Yin. Even at first glance, Shui felt that she was very cute. She had a feeling of adoration and trust towards her. Shui analyzed closely. She found that Fairy Meow Yin had rank 7 cultivation level while Lady White Rabbit had rank 6, similar to her. But after the matter of He Lulan, Shui no longer dared to look at Lady White Rabbit as an ordinary rank 6 GU immortal. The GU immortals conversed for a while. Everyone was very kind and warm to Shui, but they were naturally curious about her. Shui was very tight-lipped. It was not that she became scheming, but because there were many people who were all beauties, Shui felt incredibly pressured. Why was she here? To have a marriage connection with Fang Yuan. Now, she had to proclaim herself as Fang Yuan's future wife in front of so many people. Wasn't that just provoking them? Wasn't she too shameless? At the same time, a question pressed down on Shui like a mountain. What relationship do these female immortals have with Fang Yuan? Actually, Fang Yuan had a clear and simple relationship with them. But Shui was an outsider. She could not help but assume wrong things the first time she met them. This was not strange. It was normal mentality. Alright, you have already met as Shadow Sect GU immortals. Other than us, there is one final person, a special one. Ying Wuxie said. Special. Shui's heart tensed. She wanted to ask. Special as in the relationship they have with Fang Yuan. Are they a male or a female? But Shui did not ask directly, as Ying Wuxie continued to speak. This person is Bai Ningbing. She is not a member of Shadow Sect, but she is our ally. We have fought together. Even though she only has rank 6 cultivation level among us, she has the highest battle strength. Ying Wuxie hesitated a little at the final sentence. But the other GU immortals said nothing about it. He Lulan's battle strength was weaker than Bai Ningbing. After all, great strength true martial physique was incompatible with a fire path inheritance. Fairy Meow Yin's battle strength was about the same as He Lulan. Lady White Rabbit could be disregarded. As for after becoming Black Tigress, she would be vicious but lacking in methods. Originally, Ying Wuxie had the highest battle strength, but his reliance was on Lead Soul into Dream, whose immortal GU have been taken by Fang Yuan. Thus, Bai Ningbing, who inherited Bai Zhang's true inheritance and had the Northern Dark Ice Soul physique, was the strongest among them. Even stronger than Sister Lulan. Shui could not believe it. He Lulan said. I merely have mid-tier battle strength among us. Shui opened her eyes in shock, thinking, my heavens, why are there a bunch of monsters here? Rank 6 cultivation level but having the highest battle strength, who exactly is this person? How high is their battle talent? Now, let us bring you there. I told you these things in advance so you can take note, she has a different relationship with us. Ying Wuxie continued to lead the way. Soon, they arrived at Bai Ningbing's location. Boom boom boom. Intense explosions resounded in the Immortal's ears like thunder. Roar. Next, the Immortals heard a loud and pitiful sound that resembled the cry of a dying beast. This is. When the Immortals arrived, Shui was shocked to see that Bai Ningbing was alone in the battlefield, around her was a ring of ancient desolate beasts. All of you came at a right time, I found a good place. Bai Ningbing stopped the killer move by Shang as she went towards the Immortals. Shui was greatly shocked. So beautiful, Bai Ningbing's beauty and aura was simply breathtaking. Even the genius Shui was shaken, she thought, there is such a beautiful person that exists. If she knew that Bai Ningbing was a male turned into a female, who knew how she would feel? Shui thought, why is Fang Yuan surrounded by so many beauties? And they are such talented people. No wonder he thinks little of me. Chapter 1465, Explosive Growth in Battle Strength. Langya Blessed Land, Cloud Cover Continent. Fang Yuan was alone, in a huge field of cloud soil. Taking in a deep breath, he calmed his mind and started to use his immortal killer move. Ignited Thought Flying Rock, Fang Yuan called in his mind. His eyes flickered with crystal purple light, thoughts clashed in his mind as small rocks resembling charcoal appeared around his body. These rocks seemed to be burning in flames, but they had no heat. Go, Fang Yuan willed as the rocks floating around his body shot out. The rocks tore through the sky, but there was silence during the attack. At the same time, these rocks expanded and became larger, turning from thumb size to basin size in a moment. Next, they expanded to the size of horse carriages. The rocks became giant rocks, the surface was blazing with red flames. The blazing rocks numbered from hundreds to thousands, at once, the entire sky was dyed red. Next, the blazing rocks landed on the cloud soil and created a field of flames that had neither heat nor made a sound. These were not real blazing rocks, they were formed from thoughts in actuality. This was Purple Mountain True Monarch's main attacking method, Ignited Thought Flying Rock, it could burn the target's thoughts. There was a consecutive move with it, called Single Thought Flower Blossom. After the blazing rocks exploded, Fang Yuan pointed with the index finger of his right hand. Instantly, the flames extinguished as flowers bloomed in the pits created, countless flowers were fighting to emerge and blossom. The flowers were vibrant and colorful, the surrounding area was dyed by a multicolored field of rainbow flowers. It is a pity my target is not a GU immortal, but this cloud soil without thoughts, these flowers are useless and exist only as decorations. Fang Yuan willed as the flowers vanished instantly. Fang Yuan's body shook. Immortal killer move, Single Thought Endless Clones. Instantly, he was surrounded by countless figures. Initially, there were only a few dozen purple silhouettes, but after a few breaths' time, they had grown to the number of several 100,000. Meanwhile, Fang Yuan's true body was concealed within them, he could not be found without a powerful investigative killer move. This move was very similar to Fang Yuan's own original tactic. That was to use Myriad Self and Familiar Face to act as one of the Strength Path Phantoms, concealing himself to become indiscernible. Purple Mountain True Monarch's move was superior in that it was just one move, but had the effect of Fang Yuan's two moves, Myriad Self and Familiar Face. Therefore, it expended less immortal essence. There was another advantage, the speed of the purple silhouettes grew at a faster rate than the Strength Path Phantoms. But the disadvantage was that these purple silhouettes did not have offensive power, they were purely for concealment. Meanwhile, the Strength Path Phantoms had offensive power themselves. Fang Yuan stopped using Single Thought Endless Clones as he stretched out both palms, pushing out a wave of fog. This was Immortal Killer Move Directional Confusion Fog, it could make GU Immortals lose their sense of direction. Next, Fang Yuan used Thought Body Defense, Single Thought Myriad Flow Elimination, and others, he got familiar with them and used them successfully. He placed his focus towards the end. Immortal Killer Move, Purple Thought Perception Starlight. This move was the most complex, but it had a powerful and incredible effect. It could allow the user to learn about the profundities of the enemy's killer move with every hit, and continuously gain information about them. Once they collect enough information, Fang Yuan would be able to use Wisdom Path methods to deal with the enemy's killer move during the battle itself. Next, the Immortal killer move Brilliant Will Dissolution would be used to unravel the enemy's killer move and attain victory. Fang Yuan tried to use it. Purple Thought Perception Starlight was indeed filled with many steps. Fang Yuan only succeeded after 3 tries. During this process, he suffered injuries. But with man as before, Fang Yuan was not afraid of such injuries. After these days of practicing, I have already grasped most of Purple Mountain True Monarch's methods. Fang Yuan thought. At this time, half a month had already passed since Shui'er approached him. During these days, Fang Yuan mainly cultivated Soul Path to increase his soul foundation. Right now, he had 10 million man soul already. The Immortal Aperture's development was progressing smoothly and steadily. Other than this, he was practicing killer moves. Killer moves needed practice, because each activation carried a risk. If the activation failed, one would be causing harm to themselves. Fang Yuan had countless inheritances, and had a vast number of killer moves. However, the foundation of killer moves were Immortal GU. Fang Yuan decided to first train Purple Mountain True Monarch's Wisdom Path killer moves. Purple Mountain True Monarch was a first-generation split soul purple. His methods could contest Duke Long, they were naturally very powerful. Furthermore, before his death, he left most of his Wisdom Path Immortal GU to Fang Yuan. Thus, Fang Yuan had the foundation to use Purple Mountain True Monarch's Immortal killer moves. Of course, he did not have all of Purple Mountain True Monarch's Immortal GU, there were quite some missing. But it was not a problem for Fang Yuan. With his Grandmaster Wisdom Path attainment level, and the most important Light of Wisdom to rely on, he could rapidly modify killer moves. Right now, the Wisdom Path killer moves that he was using were modified to some extent. After this session, Fang Yuan went to Wisdom GU. He sat beside Wisdom GU and bathed in the light of wisdom, thinking and concluding his gains from this training session. Every time after practice, he would think about the experience and use his gains to modify the killer moves even further. The creation of many killer moves relied on the GU Immortal's own experiences, habits, and personality. These killer moves were other people's killer moves, they were not as fitting to Fang Yuan as his self-created myriad self and strength path giant hand. Thus, Fang Yuan had to continue modifying them. A moment later, Fang Yuan finished his thinking session. There was nothing he could do to modify Purple Mountain True Monarch's Immortal killer moves anymore. After these days of practicing and modifying, I have finally reached the limit. Only when my Wisdom Path attainment reaches a qualitative change can I continue to modify these moves. After understanding this, Fang Yuan did not force it anymore. His deductions today were not focusing on this, he was trying to complete Immortal killer move Eat Strength. Originally, Fang Yuan had Immortal GU Eat Strength. He could expend Immortal Essence to activate the Immortal GU and increase his Strength Path Dao marks. It was a pity that such a useful Immortal GU was destroyed. But it was not a problem, all of the different paths led to the same origin. Fang Yuan had so many Immortal GU and the Light of Wisdom to help him, he could rapidly deduce Immortal killer move Eat Strength. Such an Immortal killer move could totally replace the use of Eat Strength Immortal GU. My deductions succeeded. A few minutes later, Fang Yuan left Wisdom GU with a feeling of satisfaction. He started deducing Immortal killer move Eat Strength 6 days ago, he had finally succeeded. This rank 6 Immortal killer move used Snack Immortal GU as the core, with other Strength Path Immortal GU as the supplementary GU. A GU Immortal could expend Strength Path Immortal materials to help them increase their Strength Path Dao marks. The result of one cultivation session was better than rank 6 Immortal GU Eat Strength. But the expended Immortal Essence was higher too, because too many GU worms were involved, it was not as convenient as using Eat Strength Immortal GU alone. In conclusion, there were advantages and disadvantages. For the following days, other than practicing Purple Mountain True Monarch's Wisdom Path killer moves, Fang Yuan used Eat Strength to increase his Strength Path Dao marks. He had the most number of Transformation Path Dao marks now, about 50,000. After that were Ice and Snow Path, Luck Path, Chi Path, and Sound Path, they all had over 10,000 Dao marks. He had few Strength Path Dao marks, he did not undergo any Strength Path related tribulations, and the Immortal Apertures that he annexed were not from Strength Path either. This time, he focused on fixing this problem. Fang Yuan had considered it deeply before choosing Strength Path. His strongest methods now were Reverse Flow Protection Seal and Myriad Dragon. The former was defense while the latter was offense. Both were related to Strength Path. Raising Strength Path Dao marks would raise the upper limit of his battle strength very evidently. As for the Wisdom Path killer moves from Purple Mountain True Monarch, they were meant to increase Fang Yuan's variety of methods. What truly decided his upper limit of strength was reverse flow protection seal. Fang Yuan trained with hard work and used his time to the limit. Every second of his time was spent purposefully. This safe environment was really rare. Since rebirth, this was the first time Fang Yuan had such a prime opportunity to raise his strength and deepen his foundation. Immortal aperture development, practicing killer moves, cultivating soul path, almost every day, Fang Yuan progressed further. His speed of improvement was unheard of, even Lang Yalan's spirit was secretly shocked. This was what Heavenly Court had predicted. After getting Shadow Sect's inheritance, Fang Yuan's foundation was unfathomably deep. Now that he could make use of it, his strength would grow explosively. Ever since Shui joined up with the Shadow Sect Immortals, she had acted very obediently and diligently. Even though her battle strength was lacking, she was skilled in the investigative aspect. She worked with the Shadow Sect Immortals and hunted many souls for Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan was cold towards the marriage connection, causing some conflict in the Snowman tribe. Shui grandmother, Bing Yuan, proposed to send Fang Yuan another gift to express their goodwill. But some of the Snowman GU Immortals led by Bing Feng objected to it. They felt that the price of a marriage connection with Fang Yuan was too big. They would rather endure the suppression of the Rockmen. Because of Shadow Sect's members, Lang Ya Sect's development in exploring Taichu became quicker. Lang Yalan's spirit was extremely happy. He became very pleased with Fang Yuan. On this day, Fang Yuan was sitting with his eyes closed, his consciousness working on developing his immortal aperture, when he suddenly received a request for help. At the same time as when he opened his eyes, Lang Yalan's spirit also teleported towards Fang Yuan. Elder Fang Yuan, quickly go help. An immemorial desolate beast has appeared in Taichu. It has trapped several GU immortals from our sect. Lang Yalan's spirit had a nervous expression as he spoke anxiously. Chapter 1466. A bit weak. Roar. A loud sound resembling thunder exploded around the hairy man GU immortals. At the same time, a huge dragon head charged towards them like a hill. A huge shadow was casted over the immortals. Before it even hit, the strong air currents blew out with threatening aura, making everyone lose their confidence in defending themselves. We're finished. 3 hairy man GU immortals were covered in sweat. One of them was lying on the ground. Seeing that they were about to die, at this moment, the 3 hairy men heard a cold voice, useless. The 3 hairy man GU immortals were overjoyed even though they were insulted. They shouted, "We are here, Fairy Ningbing, save us." During the moment of danger, a white figure flew towards them. It was Dragon Lady by Ningbing. She snorted coldly and raised her hands. Crack. At the next moment, an ice wall emerged and shielded the 3 hairy man GU immortals. Bam! In just a breath's time, the giant dragon head crashed into the ice wall. The ice wall could not take it and shattered. But Bai Ningbing had already pulled the 3 hairy man GU immortals back as they retreated. At the same time, cold light shot out of her eyes and landed on the dragon head. The vicious dragon head was soon covered in a layer of white frost. Its speed had fallen drastically. Bai Ningbing internally let out a sigh of relief. After that instance of combat, she had already deduced that the dragon head was only rank 7 level. With her battle strength, she could easily deal with it. But, immemorial desolate beast myriad head coiling dragon has 10,000 heads. I can deal with 1 head, but if the other dragon heads join in the battle, I will be outmatched. After all, 2 fists cannot rival 4 hands. Bai Ningbing looked at the sky as she frowned. This was not the ordinary Taichu world, it was a dark formation path space. The myriad head coiling dragon was a formation path immemorial desolate beast. It could create formation path spaces just like how the upper extreme heavenly eagle could enter and exit grotto heavens. It was the immemorial desolate beast's latent ability. I need to get out of this place and return to the outside world. I hope Ying Wuxie and the rest can hold on. At this moment, in the outside world of Taichu, He Lu Lan and the others were flying around in the sky, facing hundreds of dragons on the ground. They used their methods and unleashed an array of attacks endlessly. It was a grand scene. The green giant grass in Taichu were as tall as trees. They grew in large numbers, resembling a forest. Within the giant grass, hundreds of dragons had varying forms. They either had golden scales, horns on their foreheads, 3 dragon eyes, or sharp teeth. Their bodies were wavering, but their heads were high in the sky, much taller than the grass here. These were all dragon heads, part of the myriad head coiling dragon. The tails were deeply buried under the soil. All of the 10,000 dragons were of the same origin. Meanwhile, He Lu Lan flew in circles like an eagle. She continued to unleash killer moves that rained down like fireworks. Dragon roars resounded. They were not passively taking hits, they retaliated continuously. Most of them were breathing out dragon breaths, some were spitting out poison, while some had dragon eyes shooting out light. Ignoring the dragon head that went to deal with Bai Ningbing, there are 3 rank 7 dragon heads. The rest are rank 6 level. We have not found any wild immortal GU yet, but be careful. Don't get close, you will be dragged into the formation path space of the myriad head coiling dragon. He Lu Lan, Ying Wu Xie, and the rest conversed while they fought at the same time. Lang Ya Land Spirit asked Fang Yuan for help, he had to respond. Firstly, this rescue mission had a lot of rewards, it was quite enticing. Secondly, Fang Yuan was a supreme elder of Lang Ya sect, he could not ignore this, it would violate his alliance agreement. Thus, while rushing there, Fang Yuan ordered Ying Wu Xie and the rest to help first and stall for time. As the battle got more intense, not much time had passed, but Ying Wu Xie and the rest were already feeling great pressure. Oh no, more and more dragon heads are awakening. If this goes on, the immemorial dragon head will awaken, not only will we fail to save them, we will lose our lives. When will sect leader arrive? We are deep within Tai Chu, the teleportation formation is far away, he needs some time. Be careful. While conversing, a rank 7 dragon head woke up and emerged from the ground, roaring as it shot out a silver dragon breath. He Lu Lan narrowly avoided it as Ying Wu Xie pondered and said to Lady White Rabbit and Shui stay back and help us out from a distance. Shui only had rank 6 cultivation level, her mind was shaking and she was barely putting up a fight. Even though she was the genius of the snowmen, she could not be compared to He Lu Lan and the rest, she did not try to force herself, she retreated with Lady White Rabbit. Is it fine for us to retreat? Lady White Rabbit was very worried. Shui rolled her eyes at her. Let's listen to Fairy Wu Xie, with our battle strength, we will only hold them back. The immortals resisted for a while longer, more dragon heads were awakening and joining the combat. 1,000 dragon bodies were moving about, dragon heads were roaring, He Lu Lan and the rest were fully suppressed. Thankfully, myriad head coiling dragon was a very special type of immemorial desolate beast. Once it was born, it could not move, even though there were many dragon heads, they could only defend their territory, they could not pursue enemies. Even so, 1,000 dragon heads, breaths were incredibly powerful, He Lu Lan and the rest retreated time and again, they could barely resist it. Oh no, the situation is getting worse. Bai Ningbing is still not out yet, I'm afraid she's unable to escape from the enemy's trap. He Lu Lan and the rest were right, Bai Ningbing was fighting desperately inside the formation path space. To defend those 3 hairy man GU immortals, she was very restricted. But right at this time, an indescribable aura spread throughout the place. A huge dragon head that surpassed all others slowly rose up. The immemorial dragon head had awakened. Its eyes were hazy, its eyelids were drooping, it had yet to awaken fully, but it already created immense pressure in the GU immortals. Damn it, what should we do? The immortals were hesitating when Ying Wu Xie ordered, we will retreat. They were only rank 6 and 7, how could they resist rank 8? They could only retreat, giving up on Bai Ningbing and the 3 hairy man GU immortals. But right at this moment, the immemorial dragon head opened its mouth and sucked in. Instantly, the world changed, Ying Wu Xie and the rest were all dragged into the formation path space without putting up resistance. Immemorial dragon head, Bai Ningbing was shaken, she turned to look at Ying Wu Xie and the rest, frowning and asking, where is Fang Yuan? Ying Wu Xie and the rest smiled bitterly. Thankfully, the immemorial dragon head only trapped the shadow sect immortals and did not attack, the dragon head faded into the formation path space in a few breaths of time. It had rank 8 battle strength, from its perspective, rank 6 and 7 GU immortals were insignificant, it did not need to fight. It let the other dragon heads handle this battle. Thus, 1,000 dragon heads appeared all around the shadow sect immortals. Ying Wu Xie and the rest fell into a difficult battle. The scene now was different from before, these dragon heads could move easily in the formation path space, they could appear and vanish at times, they were no longer trapped at their original spot. The immortals tried and could not break out of the formation path space, they could only unite and fight together, resisting a desperate battle. In the dangerous battle, all of the immortals suffered injuries. The 3 hairy man GU immortals, Shui and Lady White Rabbit barely managed to survive. Gradually, the shadow sect immortals could no longer care about the weak. One hairy man GU immortal was the first to die. Shui gasped as she could not escape in time, she was surrounded by several dragon heads. To think that I will die here. Shui could not stop them, she could only shut her eyes and wait for death, but a dark figure flew in and dragged her out. What are you all doing? Why did I have to come out and salvage the situation? The pressure of survival made Lady White Rabbit turned into Black Tigress again. She was the one who saved Shui-Er. Shui-Er was dazed. You are Lady White Rabbit. I am not that weakling. Black Tigress smiled coldly. She looked at Shui-Er in disdain. Shui-Er was speechless. She finally understood. Fang Yuan's subordinates, the members of Shadow Sect, were all monsters. Compared to them, she was the weakest. With Black Tigress' help, the scene finally stabilized. But good times did not last. More and more dragon heads appeared. The immemorial desolate beast myriad head coiling dragon was finally starting to show its terrifying battle strength. The immortals could only defend themselves, they could not escape. Their hope was all in Fang Yuan. But when was Fang Yuan going to arrive? After such a long period of fighting, Fang Yuan should have arrived already. But soon, the Shadow Sect immortals realized that this formation path space had time path elements in it. The rate of time was very different from the outside world. This realization was like a huge rock that weighed on the GU immortals' hearts. But gradually, Ying Wuxie and the rest found out that the number of dragon heads in the formation path space was shrinking. Their pressure was decreasing, they stabilized in this dangerous situation again. Fang Yuan must be here. After realizing this, the immortals rose in morale. But Shui-Er could not help but feel worried. I wonder what the battle outside is like. Even though Fang Yuan has rank 8 battle strength, can he resist this rank 8 myriad head coiling dragon? While thinking about this, the formation path space broke and everyone returned to the outside world. Looking at the scenery, Shui-Er could not help but gasp in shock. The ground was covered in rivers of blood, countless dragons were lying on the ground, the surrounding area was covered in corpses. That immemorial dragon head was growling in pain, it was no longer as imposing as before. And Fang Yuan was everywhere. Single thought endless clones. Ying Wuxie muttered, recognizing Fang Yuan's immortal killer move. Fang Yuan was concealing himself among the countless silhouettes, but that immemorial dragon head had no way to figure out where Fang Yuan was. Ignited thought flying rock. Countless flaming rocks were landing on myriad head coiling dragon's body, making a large number of dragon heads fall to the ground. They had thought of getting up, but the thought was extinguished instantly by the flames. Single thought flower blossom. Fang Yuan shifted his thoughts, countless beautiful flowers bloomed on the dragon bodies. They felt that their strength was sapped away as the strong dragon heads fell into weakness, the flowers were used as fuel to strengthen the flames in their mind. These attacks quickly defeated the rank 6 and 7 dragon heads, they sprawled on the ground like fat earthworms. Only the immemorial dragon head had a powerful aura, but as it could not find Fang Yuan's main body, its battle strength was useless. This is the power of wisdom path killer moves, I can see how powerful Purple Mountain True Monarch was from this. Fang Yuan sighed to himself internally. At this moment, the immemorial dragon head saw Ying Wuxie and the rest, it changed target and assaulted them. The remaining 2 hairy man GU immortals shrieked uncontrollably. Fang Yuan's main body emerged and blocked the dragon head's path. Be careful, Shui-Er shouted as she saw the immemorial dragon head crash into Fang Yuan's body with much fear. The huge force sent Fang Yuan flying but he quickly flew back again. In contrast, the immemorial dragon head was covered in blood, it was in a pathetic state. Reverse flow protection seal rendered Heavenly Court's GU immortals without options, the power of it was not a joke. Using this chance, the Shadow Sect immortals managed to retreat to a safe distance. Without any lingering burden, Fang Yuan engaged in a fight with the immemorial dragon head. So strong, Shui-Er was completely dazed from watching, she watched how Fang Yuan gained the upper hand and killed the immemorial dragon head eventually. This immemorial desolate beast is a bit weak. When the battle ended, Fang Yuan looked down at the immemorial dragon head that was cut off, and the 1,000 dragon heads lingering on the ground as he sighed. Chapter 1467, The View of a Rank 8. We're saved. Lord Fang Yuan is invincible. The 2 hairy man GU immortals saw Fang Yuan defeating the myriad head coiling dragon, they cheered loudly and expressed their joy of surviving the ordeal. But the Shadow Sect immortals were silent. Bai Ningbing snorted. Ying Wuxie had a look of nostalgia, after seeing these wisdom path killer moves again, he thought of the sacrificed Purple Mountain True Monarch. He Lulan was silent, the stronger Fang Yuan became, the smaller her chances of escaping. Shui-Er blinked in succession, she was mentally shaken, looking at the ravaged battlefield, she understood why the tribe wanted to have a marriage connection with Fang Yuan. This is rank 8 battle strength. Ordinary immemorial desolate beasts cannot deal with GU immortals that have rank 8 battle strength. Because humans possess intelligence and wisdom, we can use countless immortal killer moves. Being married to this man, even if we only rely on this connection, our tribe will no longer be bullied by the rockmen. If we can use his help, the entire tribe will be lifted, we will definitely prosper. Meanwhile, Fang Yuan stared at the dragon corpse and the fallen dragon heads, collating his gains and losses. Immemorial desolate beasts had rank 8 battle strength, but they were still classified into different tiers. This myriad head coiling dragon was one of the weaker ones among immemorial desolate beasts. It was not in good condition, it had just woken up from sleep and was countered by Fang Yuan's wisdom path killer moves. If Fang Yuan used other methods or fought by charging in, he might have had to spend more effort. But ignited thought flying rock had an incredible effect that dealt with it easily. How should I deal with this myriad head coiling dragon? Without the immemorial dragon head, it is only ancient desolate level now. But it still has its foundation. In time, a new ancient dragon head will become immemorial level. This type of formation path immemorial desolate beast was very rare. Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture was in its development stage. He first thought of moving this myriad head coiling dragon into his immortal aperture. But regretfully, once the myriad head coiling dragon is in the ground, it could no longer be moved. It was not just deep underground, it was connected to the earth vein, it grew from extracting nutrients from the earth vein. Thus, if the surrounding soil was dug up, the myriad head coiling dragon would lose its connection to the myriad head coiling dragon, it would lose its life. Ordinary GU immortals might be without options, but Fang Yuan had methods. Be it shadow sex inheritances or Langya sex inheritances, they had countless methods to relocate the myriad head coiling dragon. But Fang Yuan gave up this alluring idea after considering it. The reason was simple, these methods needed immortal GU that Fang Yuan did not have. Even if he used the light of wisdom, the time, effort, and resources needed were huge, it was not worth it for just this immemorial desolate beast. But to kill it and sell off its body parts was a huge waste. After all, an immemorial desolate beast that was alive had greater value than a dead one. Thoughts clashed in Fang Yuan's mind as he thought of the best way to resolve this, Langya sect. He had just prepared to contact Langya land spirit when Langya land spirit already contacted him using information path mortal GU. Langya land spirit was also very happy. Fang Yuan was able to defeat the immemorial desolate beast and save 2 hairy man GU immortals. He wanted to thank Fang Yuan and had a warm tone. Fang Yuan smiled silently. The status of a rank 8 GU immortal was totally different. In the absence of rank 9, rank 8s were the dominating overlords. Each rank 8 GU immortal caused great influences in their every action. Even though Fang Yuan did not have rank 8 cultivation level, having only rank 8 battle strength and being considered a quasi-rank 8, he could already feel how amazing it was to be a rank 8 at this moment. Fang Yuan said to Langya land spirit, "This myriad head coiling dragon is still alive, a new immemorial dragon head will regrow in the future. I want to sell this immemorial desolate beast to Langya sect, first supreme elder, how many sect contribution points can I get for this?" Langya land spirit was dazed before shouting, "Great idea." Langya sect was exploring Tai Chu, they could use an immemorial desolate beast's corpse to create a teleportation immortal formation. This was a base point for them. Using this base, they could explore outwards and gain more resources from Tai Chu. But in the huge Tai Chu, just one base was not enough. Like this time, because of the distance, it was not easy to rescue them. This myriad head coiling dragon is a natural immortal formation, we do not need to do anything, as long as we subdue it, we will be able to create a second base. As for sect contribution points, Langya land spirit considered before giving Fang Yuan a number he was satisfied with. Fang Yuan had to refine a large number of immortal GU earlier, his sect contribution points had dwindled, he needed to replenish them so that he could refine GU again. Right now, Fang Yuan was handing out a GU refinement mission, his main goal was heavenly secret immortal GU. After settling his loot, Fang Yuan led the immortals back victoriously. The Shadow Sect immortals were all injured, He Lulan had the heaviest injuries. Even though the fire path methods were good, it was not compatible with her great strength true martial physique. Unfortunately, Fang Yuan needed to develop his strength path too, there was a conflict between them. Fang Yuan had to satisfy his own needs first before he could pass down excessive GU worms to raise the Shadow Sect immortals' strength. After all, Heavenly Court was too strong, their strength was needed for Fang Yuan to gain a decisive victory in the future. However, I can modify her fire path killer moves to make them more compatible. I can even modify this strength path immortal killer moves for her to use. Fang Yuan thought. He Lulan was still very loyal due to Shadow Sect's alliance agreement. But in Fang Yuan's mind, Fairy Miao Yin and Lady White Rabbit were more trustworthy. At the same time, Fang Yuan had a way to restrict He Lu Lan, that was her father cum enemy, He Chang. This huge trump card had always been in Fang Yuan's hands, He Lu Lan was kept in the dark. I can nurture He Lu Lan slightly, modifying these killer moves is very easy, the expended time and effort is low, I can do it rapidly. Thus, for the next few days, Shadow Sect's immortals healed themselves while He Lu Lan's injuries slowly recovered, she was only mildly injured. Fang Yuan handed Star Eye's immortal GU to her and let her use it to refine the stars in the sky. Fang Yuan chose a huge star. When he was in southern border disguised as Wu Yihai, there were too many people, he could not casually refine the stars. There was little development in this, it kept dragging on until now. Fang Yuan did not have the time or energy for this. He passed Star Eye's immortal GU to He Lu Lan and made her use her time to refine the star, allowing Star Eye's immortal GU to display its worth. When He Lu Lan succeeded, Fang Yuan would give her the modified immortal killer moves as the reward. Fang Yuan had created an organization in his previous life. To nurture a person, they could not be given rewards for no reason and at a rapid pace. Breaking the rules of advancement was a huge problem for organizations. Any act of promotion or demotion needed to have appropriate reasons. If there was no reason for it, then he should create a reason. Fang Yuan was very experienced in this. After the matter of the myriad head coiling dragon, Fang Yuan realized that the Shadow Sect immortals also needed more battle strength. When they got stronger, they would be more helpful to Fang Yuan. However, the most important thing now was Fang Yuan's own development. The most reliable person was himself, a truly mature person would never rely on others in times of need. The Shadow Sect immortals were merely icing on the cake for Fang Yuan. After returning to his Cloud City, Fang Yuan took out a rank 6 Strength Path Immortal material. Next, he used Immortal Killer move Eat Strength. A moment later, this pure Strength Path Immortal material had melted, a small portion of the Dao marks in it had been transferred to Fang Yuan. Using perceivable Dao Immortal GU to check it, his Strength Path Dao marks did not grow by much. Fang Yuan was not disappointed, this was an expected result. The main way for GU immortals to increase their Dao marks was through tribulations. For Fang Yuan, he had another immortal aperture annexing method. As for each strength killer move, it could only slowly accumulate, there would only be effect after a long time. Thus now, when dealing with the myriad head coiling dragon, even though he gained some strength path Dao marks, his battle strength did not rise much. However, if I can refine Snack Immortal GU into the rank 7 Big Snack, I can modify each strength so that the gain in my strength path Dao marks will be more evident and achieve a qualitative change. This thought appeared in Fang Yuan's mind before rapidly vanishing. Refining Snack Immortal GU into Big Snack Immortal GU was alluring, but it was not the appropriate time to do that now. Refining Heavenly Secret Immortal GU was the main priority, and Fang Yuan was continuing his Immortal Aperture development to satisfy the needs of his Immortal GU in terms of food. The latter expended almost all of his finances. How long had it been? His 10 million Immortal Essence Stones had already started depleting. But his great efforts also gave him great rewards, he had already completed more than half of his basic development. My soul foundation has already reached 10 million man soul, let's continue like this. In terms of killer moves, I am already familiar with Purple Mountain True Monarch's Wisdom Path killer moves, next, I will modify Bo Qing's Sword Path killer moves. In terms of Wisdom Path, Fang Yuan had Grandmaster attainment level, he also had Wisdom Path Immortal GU, it was naturally his priority. In terms of Sword Path, even though he had several Sword Path Immortal GU, he lacked the attainment level for it, it was lower on his priority. In terms of Soul Path, not only did he lack attainment level, he also lacked Immortal GU, he only had rank 7 Change Soul and rank 6 Cleanse Soul, it was even lower on the priority list. Fang Yuan had been preparing himself, he had considered his options thoroughly. At the same time as modifying Bo Qing's Sword Path killer moves, I will also modify some killer moves for He Lu Lan. The only problem is that after completing my basic development, my finances will be at a dangerous level. Fang Yuan was a little worried, but after 3 days, the Snowman tribe sent the third set of gifts to him. The third set of gifts was the most valuable one among the 3. After getting this, Fang Yuan's basic Immortal Aperture development no longer had the problem of lacking funds for the time being. Chapter 1468, Ice Path Crystal Essence. Southern Border. A mild rain was drizzling, there was serenity amidst the cold winds, it was dusk on the green mountain ridge. On a nameless mountain, a huge pine tree with a cone shape had already grown for 6 years on this location. Soon, in an hour, I will be able to refine rank 7 Pine Needle Immortal GU. 6 years of hard work, rank 7 secluded cultivator Zheng Qing thought in his heart with anticipation. He was a wood path GU Immortal, he was using a wood refinement method this time. Even though it took a long time, he was using the technique of Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable, the success rate was very high. Zheng Qing was originally immortal. When he was finding firewood one day in the mountain, he fell off the cliff and landed on a huge lotus that was within the valley. Through a fortuitous encounter, Zheng Qing inherited one of Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable's woodpath inheritances. After working hard on cultivation, he became a GU Immortal. He slowly cultivated and rarely went out. After hundreds of years, he became rank 7. He had a peaceful nature, one had to say. Genesis Lotus, true inheritance was really suited for him. When refining GU this time, he turned into a pine tree and stayed here for 6 years, through rain and shine, slowly cultivating while ignoring the changes in the environment. Rumble. At this time, from deep under the earth, he heard a loud sound, like the screaming of countless beasts. What is going on? Zheng Qing heard the sound and became alert. No way, my GU refinement method comes from Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable, be it the process of refining GU or the final moment, the process is natural and mystical, there is no way I will be exposed. Thus, this cannot be a case of enemies coming to snatch it. Wait. Zheng Qing was first suspicious before his heart jumped. He thought of an answer. Months ago, he had also experienced such a situation. That time, there was a huge earthquake, it was as if there was a huge python rolling around in the ground. Even though he was unharmed, the event shocked Zheng Qing deeply. After that, Zheng Qing connected to Treasure Yellow Heaven and learned that there was an unprecedented earthquake that involved the entire southern border. Is this the same thing? Zheng Qing's guess soon got confirmed. Like what he had expected, this was the same type of earthquake as before. But the size of it was far beyond Zheng Qing's imagination. Rumble. A terrifying earthquake seemed to devour everything, the world was shaking like the apocalypse was here. Huge trenches were created that extended for millions of li. Zheng Qing was very unfortunately, the nameless mountain that he was on was being devoured by a trench. The mountain collapsed. Zheng Qing wanted to hold on but he reached his limits, he had to return to human form. Even with his superb mental state, he still wanted to vomit blood, his 6 years of hard work had gone up in smoke. What is this earthquake? Why am I so unlucky? Sigh. Suddenly, his bloodshot eyes widened immensely. He saw that the immeasurably wide trench had a mountain-like rock. This rock was orange in color, it was also crystallized, the surface had countless holes that were large as houses, while some were small as fists, a large amount of yellow smoke was spewing out of these holes unceasingly. The smoke became thicker and soon turned into soil. The original orange-yellow crystal rock was covered in a thick layer of soil in a dozen breaths of time. Zheng Qing breathed roughly, he had Genesis Lotus true inheritance, he knew what this was with his knowledge. This is the Earth Path Crystal Essence in land. This is a rank 8 immortal material. Ah wait. Zheng Qing's investigative killer move looked further. His eyes became wider as he shouted, did I see wrongly? Not just the Earth Path Crystal Essence, there are also jade scales, earth hole traveling flame, spring thunder condensed dewdrops. These immortal materials were very valuable, they were also of a huge quantity. The feeling of failing the GU refinement had already been forgotten by Zheng Qing, he started to get busy collecting these precious resources. Northern Plains, Langya Blessed Land. Fang Yuan cultivated his sword path killer moves. Sword path killer move, triple layered sword wave. Swish swish swish, the dazzling silvery waves were crashing unceasingly, 3 layers of waves swept forward with unparalleled sharpness and power. Immortal killer move, formless flying sword. Flying sword immortal GU shot out rapidly, it vanished in an instant due to the extreme speed. Fang Yuan could accurately sense the location of flying sword immortal GU, but others could not. This was one of Bo Qing's signature killer moves. Immortal killer move, cloud flying sword. Fang Yuan clapped as a large amount of cloud fog appeared and rapidly expanded. The power of the sword had no form or limits, it could not be intercepted, without any solid matter, it could not be resisted. Immortal killer move, 10,000 li flying sword. Fang Yuan pointed as sword light flew out like a rainbow, shooting towards the sky, traveling several thousand li in the blink of an eye, it was extremely accurate. And the final move, immortal killer move, 5-finger fist heart sword. Fang Yuan clapped and placed his palms in front of his chest together, before his right hand's fingers curled up, as if he was grasping endless sword light in his hand. Next, he raised his right hand up towards the top of his head. First, his thumb straightened, with a swoosh, an extremely sharp sword light flew out and pierced a hole in cloud cover continent. Next were his index and middle fingers, they extended and two sword lights shot out with terrifying night. But his last two fingers could not be stretched. After 3 sword lights, Fang Yuan had to stop the killer move. After some practice, Fang Yuan stood on the spot, collating his experiences. These last days, I have already finished modifying the sword path killer moves. There are a total of 5 moves. Other than triple-layered sword wave originating from Langya sect, the other 4 moves came from Bo Qing, and I have already modified them. Sword path situation is inferior to wisdom path. I do not have as many sword path immortal GU compared to wisdom path, and my attainment level is far lower. My modification is limited, the power is about the same as Bo Qing's original version. Especially the final move, 5-finger fist hard sword, it used to be renowned throughout history, it was a move that shocked the world. But I can only use 3-finger sword lights, that is my limit. At the same time, the power of the move is only at the peak of rank 7. If I can use rank 8 wisdom sword immortal GU as well, the sword path killer move will reach the power level of rank 8. Unfortunately, wisdom sword immortal GU was very hard to use, he needed rank 8 immortal essence. Fang Yuan was not rank 8, he could not produce rank 8 immortal essence at all. Fang Yuan had 3 rank 8 immortal GU, they were attitude GU, years flow like water, and wisdom sword immortal GU. Among them, attitude GU was a legendary immortal GU written in less than the legends of Ren Zhu greater than, it had a very low requirement to use. Years flow like water was slightly worse, but its effect depended on the quality of the immortal essence used instead. Wisdom sword immortal GU was a normal rank 8 immortal GU, even though it belonged to Fang Yuan, it needed rank 8 immortal essence to activate. Thus, Fang Yuan had a lot of room for improvement in sword path. But at the current moment, he had reached the limit of development in this path. After finishing the practice of his killer moves, Fang Yuan did not want to waste time, he returned to the Cloud City and started to work on his Immortal Aperture development again. Sovereign Immortal Aperture, at the extreme north of many northern plains. Snow was falling, the air was cold, snow was deep and thick, the atmosphere was entirely different from before. Howl, howl, occasionally, several snow monsters would pace around the snow and emit strange screams. And at the extreme north, there was a mountain-like crystal rock. This rock was blue in color, it had crystallized texture, the surface had countless holes of varying sizes, a large amount of cold and icy smoke was spewing out of these holes unceasingly, they were changing the environment to a great extent. Ice Path Crystal Essence. It was an extremely rare rank 8 immortal material that originated from the secluded domain of heaven and earth, it was rarely seen in the market. The first time he saw this Ice Path Crystal Essence, Fang Yuan sighed, to think that the Snowman tribe had such a valuable thing in their treasury. But Fang Yuan soon understood why. Even though they were living in difficulty now and were in a tough spot, the truth was, after so many generations of cruel competition, how could the remaining snowmen be simple characters? At least, among all of the snowman tribes, this was a high-quality batch. They were merely trapped here now, even though their current situation was bad, they had their former glory. The Ice Path Crystal Essence was the important part of the third gift from the snowmen. As for why these snowmen suddenly showed such sincerity, Fang Yuan knew without needing to guess that it was because he defeated the immemorial desolate beast myriad head coiling dragon. The scene was recorded by Shui'er, who sent it back to the tribe. Of course, this was Fang Yuan purposely allowing her to do it, he wanted to see that happen. With this Ice Path Crystal Essence, I can create a production line of snow monsters. In time, this will be a new source of revenue for me. While he was thinking of the future, Sixth Hair transmitted to him. Sect Leader, Heavenly Secret Immortal Gu's refinement has reached the crucial step, please come over to refine the GU personally. Fang Yuan was instantly alerted. If he could refine Heavenly Secret Immortal GU, he would be able to learn about the following calamities and tribulations in advance. Any GU cultivator would know how important and significant this was. Chapter 1469, Too Weak. The GU refinement hall was filled with bright white light. The light was glaring, nobody could look at it directly. An intense aura that was in between mortal GU and immortal GU showed that the GU refinement was at its most crucial step. Fang Yuan was bathed in the white light, his concentration was fully invested. Beside him, Refinement Path GU Immortal Sixth Hair had a look of solemnness and nervousness. Now is the time. Suddenly, Sixth Hair spoke and dispelled the entire Refinement Path GU formation. Originally, the best way to refine Heavenly Secret Immortal GU was to use Light Path Refinement method. Other than that, Other paths would only exert more effort for a weaker result, some even caused an opposing effect. And at this final step, the refinement path GU formation needed to be shut down. The GU Immortal had to personally complete this final step. This was the most unique part of Heavenly Secret Immortal GU's refinement. Almost all other Immortal GU had no such requirement. Only Heavenly Secret Immortal GU could not be restricted by any rules, it had to be refined when it was in a state of freedom. Undeniably, this was a huge test to the GU Immortal refining the GU. Because the GU Immortal needed to take the place of the Immortal formation at that instant and complete the final step of the GU refinement himself. But the GU Immortal's control could not be excessive. Otherwise, it would be a form of restriction and Heavenly Secret Immortal GU would not be refined. This step required a peculiar balance, the intricacy could not be expressed in words, only the GU Immortal undergoing the refinement could experience it. At the final step, Fang Yuan's mind had countless thoughts. Using wisdom path methods, he perfectly took over the Immortal formation's workload. The surrounding white light was blinding, but Fang Yuan guided it back to a condensed form. Gradually, these lights formed into a circular shape around Fang Yuan. The huge circle had Fang Yuan at the center. Initially, there was only light, but after a few breaths of time, there was a material form. After a dozen breaths, the refinement hall's light had returned to normal, the ring had materialized and was the size of a house, it was white gold in color. The ring was quietly floating. Fang Yuan was at its center. Sixth Hair held his breath as he felt excited internally. Refinement path killer move, heavenly light ring, it has finally formed. But we need it to rotate 7 times to refine the rank 7 Heavenly Secret Immortal GU. The first rotation, Fang Yuan willed as the ring started to rotate slowly. This first rotation took 15 minutes to complete. The first rotation is complete. Sixth Hair let out a breath of turbid air. Second rotation, Fang Yuan's eyes which were shut slowly opened. Within his eyes, a profound light shot out towards the ring. The ring which had stopped moving started to move with his gaze, it rotated again. This rotation was faster than before. In just 7 minutes, it finished rotating. The second rotation is done too. Sixth Hair clenched his fists. Third rotation, Fang Yuan breathed roughly, he continued to regulate his breath. He was not breathing normally of course, he was using a refinement path killer move. His breath and the ring resonated as it started to spin again. This rotation was even faster now, it finished in an instant. The third rotation is done. Sixth Hair's heart was pounding. The fourth rotation, Fang Yuan opened his mouth and started to hum. Under the effect of his voice, the ring started to spin violently. Soon, the fourth rotation was completed. We are already past half of the 7 rotations. But it will get even harder now, because the rings will rotate even faster, it will not be easy to control. Sixth Hair was oozing with sweat now. After the fourth rotation, Fang Yuan did not continue recklessly, he rested for a while before using his refinement path killer move to make the ring rotate. The fifth rotation, Fang Yuan's arms were naturally lowered, but at this moment, he slowly raised his arms. As if his arms were tied by 2 mountains, Fang Yuan slowly lifted them like he was carrying something very heavy. The ring started to rotate on its own, but this was different from before. While rotating, it also started to ascend. It became further and further away from the ground. When it reached Fang Yuan's shoulder, there was a sudden pause. Oh no! Sixth Hair's expression changed as the ring exploded on its own. Boom! A huge explosion was suppressed by the refinement hall before it caused any severe damages. But Fang Yuan who was at the center suffered the full extent of the explosion's force. Puff! Fang Yuan's expression was pale, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Heavily injured, Immortal GU man as before. Fang Yuan immediately activated this Immortal GU, his ever-useful method started to display its effect. Fang Yuan's heavy injuries became light injuries, but he had not completely healed. Fang Yuan was injured from refining rank 7 Heavenly Secret, even though rank 6 man as before had some use, its time path effect could not completely get rid of his injuries. Fang Yuan's injuries this time were not simple. Heavenly Secret Immortal GU's refinement failed. This was not the first time. For the past several times, Sixth Hair failed in the middle of the refinement, this time, they reached the end, but Fang Yuan still failed despite doing it himself. At once, Fang Yuan and Sixth Hair had ugly expressions. Fang Yuan had practiced a lot for this. Before the GU refinement, he had used many luck path methods but he still did not succeed. GU refinement was like this, it was not easy to succeed. Even if one invested a lot into it, they might not gain anything, their efforts might end up in vain. And most importantly, Fang Yuan's calamities and tribulations were impending. If he did not refine heavenly secret in time, Fang Yuan would not be able to do it before the tribulation. It is a pity. Sixth Hare sighed. No worry, even without heavenly secret, I am confident of passing. Fang Yuan waved his hand, his mind had returned to normal in an instant. Several days later, Fang Yuan came to a desolate area using the teleportation immortal formation and started to undergo his tribulation. Placing his immortal aperture, he opened the immortal aperture door. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A vast amount of heaven and earth chi rushed in like a waterfall, replenishing sovereign immortal aperture. The scene was simply too grand, Ying Wuxie and the rest were dazed. This time, in order to ensure that the tribulation went without a hitch, Fang Yuan brought the Shadow Sect immortals along. Bai Ningbing was also here, while Shui was inside Langya Blessed Land. Shui was not trusted by Fang Yuan. As for the rest, they had entered the sovereign immortal aperture before. When Fang Yuan underwent tribulations, they could help him. When other GU immortals were attracted here and tries to attack him, they could go out and block those enemies for him. This was the human calamity. When Fang Yuan underwent tribulations, he would be noticed by Heaven's will, there was no helping it. Heaven's will tried all means possible to exterminate Fang Yuan, it would naturally plot and after some time, his human calamity would appear. Unless we see it ourselves, it is absolutely hard to imagine that a person's immortal aperture could absorb this much heaven and earth chi at once. Sovereign immortal aperture, it is too powerful. I believe that even rank 9 venerables would not create such a scene when absorbing heaven and earth chi. The Shadow Sect immortals conversed and praised. Bai Ningbing snorted, her gaze was flickering uncertainly. She was shocked in her mind, but she said, "You are underestimating the rank 9 venerables. Even though I have never seen a rank 9 immortal aperture absorb heaven and earth chi, after obtaining Bai Zhang's true inheritance, I learned that Bai Zhang's absorption of the heaven and earth chi when he placed his immortal aperture was far bigger in commotion." Ying Wuxie looked at Bai Ningbing plainly. Bai Shang was rank 8, he had a rank 8 grotto heaven, Fang Yuan is only rank 7 now, he only possesses a rank 7 blessed land, the two cannot be compared. Furthermore, the sovereign immortal aperture is too huge, there are many places that have not been developed, its potential is unimaginable. In contrast, Bai Shang Grotto Heaven was already filled up back then, the resources were occupying the entire immortal aperture, these resources naturally expended a lot of heaven and earth chi. Bai Ningbing was silent. Wu Xie is right. Fairy Miao Yin laughed curtly. The other GU immortals nodded in agreement. After a long time, the sovereign immortal aperture completed the absorption of heaven and earth chi, the tribulation began to form in mini red heaven. Fang Yuan's current body was inside mini red heaven, this tribulation was targeting Fang Yuan, it would not show up elsewhere. As for why he chose mini red heaven, it was because this place was empty, it was once the place where he fought the immemorial year monkey, there were no resources here, his losses were minimized when fighting here. If they were in mini northern plains or mini southern border, the tribulation would destroy countless resources, that was not favorable to Fang Yuan. The sovereign immortal aperture is too huge, if we were the ones undergoing tribulation, how could we avoid destroying resources? But inside the sovereign immortal aperture, the tribulation cannot even cover the whole of mini red heaven. He Lulan sighed with a tone of admiration. My Shadow Sect accumulated resources for 100,000 years before refining sovereign immortal fetus GU, of course it is extraordinary. Ying Wuxie snorted coldly, saying proudly. A pity it all went to Fang Yuan. Bai Ningbing said casually, making Ying Wuxie stare at her in anger. What, did I say something wrong? Bai Ningbing was fearless, she looked at Ying Wuxie provocatively, defending her face. Ying Wuxie breathed in deeply, he turned his head over. So what if sovereign immortal fetus GU was used by Lord Fang Yuan? He is the leader of Shadow Sect, he is on the same boat as us. Ha ha ha, Bai Ningbing laughed in a mocking tone. Ying Wuxie ignored her and stared at the newly formed tribulation. Only to see that around Fang Yuan, there was a dense poisonous fog. The poisonous fog was rumbling and had 5 distinguishable colors. This is a poison path tribulation. Lady White Rabbit said meekly. Or rather, the 5 poison tribulation. Ying Wuxie said, he had more depth of knowledge. Like what he had just said, the 5-colored poisonous fog formed into 5 giant monsters, a snake, scorpion, spider, toad, and centipede respectively. The 5 monsters encircled Fang Yuan in a threatening manner but did not attack yet. They were gathering strength, as time passed, their bodies got larger. Why is Fang Yuan not attacking yet? Bai Ningbing frowned. Now was the best time to strike, as time passed, the poisonous beasts would get stronger. But Fang Yuan's tactic was different from normal people's mentality. He waited until the 5 poisonous beasts reached their maximum strength. All 5 pounced towards Fang Yuan with bodies like mountains. Bai Ningbing and the rest held their breaths. The tribulation was so powerful that they were stunned even as just spectators. This was not an ordinary rank 7 tribulation, it was enhanced by heaven's will, it had the maximum power allowed by this world. Just this, Fang Yuan's eyes rolled as he vanished on the spot. Boom boom boom. At the next moment, thunderous sounds erupted continuously. Bai Ningbing and the rest watched with pin-sized pupils as Fang Yuan rampaged on the battlefield. The 5 poisonous beasts were completely suppressed by his countless attacks. A while later, the poisonous fog faded, only Fang Yuan was left standing in the battlefield like a demonic god. He looked around the battlefield and stared at his own hands, muttering, rank 7 heavenly tribulation is too weak. Chapter 1470, Intention to Trade. Even though heaven's will wants to get rid of me, the otherworldly demon, and raise the strength of the heavenly tribulation to its limit, it could do nothing against me. This tribulation was not hard for Fang Yuan. He had prepared amply for this tribulation and had a lot of trump cards left unused. Ying Wuxie and the rest were watching Fang Yuan's solo show and ended up being useless. They were in shock and amazement towards the sovereign immortal aperture. Rank 7 GU immortals had to go through 24 earthly calamities, 3 heavenly tribulations, and 3 grand tribulations. Fang Yuan patiently waited for the 5 poisonous beasts to reach their peak before dealing with them. He wanted to probe the limit of the heavenly tribulation's power. A rank 7 heavenly tribulation no longer had any threat towards him. Earthly calamities were even weaker, only grand tribulations were in uncertainty. As for how strong grand tribulations could become, Fang Yuan did not know, he had not gone through it once. His rank 7 cultivation level was obtained by annexing apertures. He seized their cultivation level. This was the first time he was going through a rank 7 heavenly tribulation. Afterwards, Fang Yuan used perceivable Dao Immortal GU to deduce that he obtained 1,000 poison path Dao marks from this heavenly tribulation. From now on, whenever Fang Yuan used poison path Immortal GU, he would gain 100% amplification. Heavenly tribulations on average gave about 750 Dao marks. Fang Yuan obtained 1,000, it was because heaven's will had raised its power to the limit. But these gains were not what he needed now. Firstly, he did not have poison path resources to nurture, his poison path attainment level was very low, he only had 1 poison path immortal GU, woman's heart. Evidently, heaven's will had purposely chosen poison path to slow down Fang Yuan's growth. The next time I undergo heavenly tribulation, heaven's will might reduce the power of the heavenly tribulation to its limit. Fang Yuan could guess this without thinking. This heavenly tribulation made heaven's will realize that it could do nothing to Fang Yuan, it would no longer raise its power to the limit. After all, that would only give him more Dao marks, other than making him stronger, there was no point in doing it. This means that my Dao mark gains will be very low when I pass tribulations in the future. Annexing apertures is the proper way to advance now. Fang Yuan understood. Annexing apertures was the advantage of the sovereign immortal aperture, it would be definitely used in the future. But now that he lacked the upper extreme heavenly eagle, and due to Fang Yuan cultivating in seclusion, he had no opportunities for that. The river of time flowed endlessly, time passed rapidly, a month had gone by. During this period, Fang Yuan went through an earthly calamity. As he expected, the gain in Dao marks was very few. But in other aspects, Fang Yuan's improvements were huge, his gains were enormous. In terms of soul path, his soul foundation reached 50 million man soul. His soul was so condensed that it was already showing signs of turning solid. And most importantly, his immortal killer move Ghost Official Garment was getting thicker, it was shielding Fang Yuan with even greater strength now. Over on He Lu Lan's end, she had already refined the star. Fang Yuan tried to use Star Eye's Immortal GU, the investigative effect was great. With this Immortal GU, his investigative aspect was greatly supplemented. In terms of Immortal Aperture Management, the basic development was already completed. He expended almost all of his Immortal Essence Stone storage, and the 3 gifts from the snowmen. In the end, he even borrowed some resources from Langya sect to complete his foundations. But now, even though Fang Yuan had not fed them yet, the foundation was already set, it was like having dishes on the table even before eating, while the rice was still cooking in the pot. As long as he continued to develop, he would gain success in the future. There were 7 levels of Immortal Aperture development. The first level was to create mortal resource points. The second level was to have immortal material resources to feed Immortal GU. The third level was to raise and produce immortal beasts and plants, completing the ecosystem. The fourth level was to produce resources for external trade and profits. Fang Yuan had crossed into the fourth level earlier, but he still had one foot in the second level. Now that the second level was done, Fang Yuan's other foot stepped into the third level. The third level was to raise and produce immortal beasts and plants, completing the ecosystem. This level's criteria was: these immortal beasts and plants had to perfectly assimilate into the Immortal Aperture's ecosystem, they had to form a food chain with the living beings within. Fang Yuan had done this in the past, but now it was lacking. Because his two biggest groups of beasts, the Eagle group and the Year Beast group, did not perfectly assimilate into the Immortal Aperture. The eagles needed to hunt for food on their own. But currently, Fang Yuan was purchasing the food from Langya sect and Treasure Yellow Heaven. Year beasts consumed Year Gu as food, Fang Yuan produced it himself. Rank 8 Immortal Gu years flow like water played a huge part in this. Without it, Fang Yuan could not raise such a huge population of year beasts. The third level's development needs to wait. Fang Yuan wanted to continue, but he had to stock. He did not have enough funds now. To develop his Immortal Aperture, he needed to work on the fourth level and increase his trading capabilities. Right now, Fang Yuan had 9 sources of revenue. The first was Guts Gu. It was a monopoly with huge potential, but he had to invest a lot into it and split the revenue with Langya sect. Right now, Fang Yuan's Guts Gu were all used to cultivate his soul path. His profits were 0 at the moment. Next was Year Gu. Fang Yuan has not taken over the market for Year Gu yet, and because of his actions earlier, the revenue of Year Gu would be horrible for the next couple of years. But undeniably, the market for Year Gu was huge in potential because Fang Yuan possessed rank 8 Immortal Gu years flow like water. This Immortal Gu was created by the Northern Plains Time Path Great Expert He Fan. It was a top-tier Immortal Gu among rank 8s. Not only was it easy to use, owning it meant that one had a steady supply of Year Gu at a low cost. But it had weaknesses too. It would attract immemorial year beasts to wreak havoc in the Immortal Aperture. After He Fan created years flow like water Immortal Gu, he tried to solve the problem. But unfortunately, due to his limitations as a Time Path Great Expert, he was not as skilled in other aspects. He was also lacking in fortuitous encounters. If he had the 180 slaves killer move like Fang Yuan, he would have solved the problem. And thirdly, his lifespan was limited. He had already started solving the problem using the immemorial year beast fishing formation as the flood discharge formation, but his lifespan was used up before they could be used. Thus, years flow like water Immortal Gu could not shine in its creator's hands. When it went into Fang Yuan's hands, its amazing effect was finally used. Fang Yuan also sighed when he thought of this. This was truly the twists and turns of life. After Year Gu were the Dragonfish and Regretful Spider resource points. They were in the Sovereign Immortal Aperture's Dragon Scale Sea area and Coiling Thread Cave. Back then, in southern border, Fang Yuan had thought of using Wu Clan's strength to develop them. It was a huge effort. But now, the Dragonfish business was heavily affected. Because the secret of Fang Yuan disguising as Wu Yihai was exposed, and his Dragonfish business was done through Wu Clan's network, his main targets were the Righteous Path forces of southern border. This business was naturally stopped after he got exposed. Thus, Regretful Spiders became Fang Yuan's biggest source of revenue now. The main buyers were Western Desert's Shao Clan. Their relationship was getting firmer. After the Dragonfish and Regretful Spider were Eerie Fire Dragon Python, a series of Star Path resources, Star Dart Gu, Star Fragment Grass and more, Spirit Snakes, Snow Monsters, and Light Shine Fungi. The Eerie Fire Dragon Python business had started when Fang Yuan obtained some in Imperial Court Blessed Land. Afterwards he used He Tribe's unique raising method to develop them to this scale. The production was not big nor small, it was inferior to the Dragonfish and Regretful Spiders. His Star Path resources were inherited from Star Lord Wan Shang. He did not focus on them at all. The reason was simple, they were getting less important because most of his resources were larger in scale. And this was obtained from a rank 6 Gu Immortal. Its initial scale was not big either. The Spirit Snakes were about the same as the Star Path resources. They came from Handong Blessed Land, which was annexed by Fang Yuan. He did not develop it purposely. Finally, the Snow Monsters and Light Shine Fungus were future projects. The former used the Ice Path Crystal Essence to modify mini Northern Plains environment, while the latter had great importance now and could not be sold. In conclusion, Fang Yuan's business situation was not promising. Guts Gu had no profits, Dragonfish was heavily affected and earning little. Even though Regretful Spiders were the same as before, it could not hold up his situation alone. The remaining eerie fire dragon pythons, star path resources, and spirit snakes were important to rank 6 GU immortals, but for Fang Yuan, they were too small in scale. These three and the regretful spider business barely managed to help Fang Yuan maintain his finances. And finally, for the snow monsters and light shine fungi businesses, the former still needed more investment, while the latter needed to expand in size first. The profits from Year GU earlier had been depleted. In this situation, Fang Yuan needed to promote his other businesses urgently. He had a lot of resources. Even though he completed the basic development, the Immortal Aperture's development only went from 3% to 4%, but be it the Immortal Aperture's development, modifying of killer moves, or soul path cultivation, he needed to invest even more resources into them. To improve further or increase his earnings, he needed to put in capital. The more he put in, the faster his growth. And for Fang Yuan, he had a vast number of inheritances, he had countless ways to farm resources, he even had many unique techniques, there were too many choices. And among them, which was the most suitable and helpful choice? Fang Yuan fell into deep contemplation. Chapter 1471, Split Soul. Langya Blessed Land, inside a secret room in a cloud city. Fang Yuan's soul came out of his body. His soul was already much stronger than before, he was at 70 million man soul level. Fang Yuan sacrificed his guts GU profits and used Ying Wuxie and the rest to farm souls. He used the two secluded domains of heaven and earth specialized in cultivating soul path. He naturally improved at a shocking speed like a rocket. I am 30 million man soul away from 100 million man soul. Fang Yuan evaluated his soul. It was clear and lifelike, his face was exquisite, his body size was normal, there was a light from deep within the soul that made people feel it was solid and pure. Rank 9 killer move Ghostly Concealment was like a silk inner garment sticking to his soul, above it was a layer of Ghost Official Garment. The modified Immortal Killer Move Ghost Official Garment used Rank 7 Change Soul Immortal GU and Rank 6 Cleanse Soul Immortal GU as the cores. In the past, it was just a loose shirt. The sleeves were long and extended to his feet, the shirt was very thin. But as his soul foundation continued to increase, this Ghost Official Garment became thicker. Looking at it now, this Ghost Official Garment had changed forms. Not only did his loose shirt turn into a martial uniform, there was even a battle armor covering his shirt. It was a grand scene. This was the true appearance of the Rank 7 Ghost Official Garment, Ghost General Garment. Earlier, because of the layer of ghostly concealment, Ghost Official Garment and his soul had a weakened connection, it became the Rank 6 level Ghost Soldier Garment. But now that his soul foundation rose by many times, it regained its Rank 7 power. But I am still a bit of distance away from the true Ghost General Garment. Fang Yuan looked at his back. The complete form of Ghost General Garment not only had the martial uniform but also 3 war flags on his back. These flags were not evident now. But Fang Yuan's cultivation session today was not just to inspect his soul path gains. Even though his soul left his body's mind still had wills in it, they started to use an immortal killer move. Split Soul. This move came from Spectral Soul's true inheritance. After Fang Yuan modified it, he could use it. An intense pain assaulted Fang Yuan's soul. His soul suffered a huge injury. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth and his soul entered his body again. This was the first time he was activating the killer move Split Soul. Split Soul was different from usual killer moves. It needed the GU Immortal Soul to leave the body and leave behind thoughts, wills, or emotions to manipulate GU worms. It was harder to use than normal immortal killer moves. After the activation failed, Fang Yuan wordlessly used Guts GU to heal himself. If Split Soul succeeded, he would not feel any pain in splitting his soul, it would be as easy as drinking water. But if he failed, the consequences would be severe, his soul would directly collapse under normal situations. Thus, GU immortals with weak soul foundations could not blindly use this move, it would be suicide. Fang Yuan only started to try this after reaching 10 million man soul. Right now, his sword path killer moves were already modified, he had become familiar with them, he started to modify the soul path killer moves and practice them. Other than Split Soul, there was also Soul Suppression, Soul Howl, Soul Explosion, Devour Soul, Soul Replacement, Soul Beast Summoning, and others. Fang Yuan did not have many Soul Path Immortal GU, he could use these moves again but the effects would be greatly lowered. What decided Fang Yuan's upper limit of battle strength was Reverse Flow Protection Seal, be it Soul Path methods, Sword Path, or Wisdom Path, they were only meant to increase Fang Yuan's variety of moves. Modifying and practicing Soul Path killer moves used up a lot of Fang Yuan's time and energy. And for his Immortal Aperture development, Fang Yuan decided his focus. He thought about it and chose the dragonfish. Firstly, the dragonfish business had its foundation, and during this period, Feng Yuan accumulated a lot of dragonfish in his immortal aperture. He had a lot of stock. Secondly, Feng Yuan had involved himself in the dragonfish business and had experience before. It was not like the Year GU business where he was a neophyte. Finally, dragonfish had transformation path and food path Dao marks. According to rumors, dragonfish were life forms created by a food path GU immortal. Feng Yuan had the most authentic food path inheritance now. There were many ways within it to breed dragonfish on a massive scale. Dragon scale sea area. Feng Yuan first expanded this sea area again. He also modified the immortal GU formation in this sea area. A brand new immortal GU formation using rank 6 snack immortal GU, rank 7 dragon scale, rank 7 dragon breath, and rank 6 dragon strength as the cores, as well as 130,000 mortal GU as supplementary GU. Just by modifying this giant immortal formation, Feng Yuan spent 3 days. These 3 days, Feng Yuan did not sleep or rest, he was bathed in the light of wisdom. Constructing the immortal formation took him 12 days. Half a month later, Feng Yuan successfully raised this dragonfish resource point from a large-sized resource point to a giant resource point. This way, the dragonfish would breed even faster, and with the sovereign immortal aperture's rapid time flow, they would reproduce rapidly. Feng Yuan started to find new sellers for the dragonfish business. Langya sect was easily convinced. The snowman tribe also agreed to purchase dragonfish from Feng Yuan at regular intervals. Western Desert's Shao clan also became a large customer of Feng Yuan's dragonfish business due to their relationship with the regretful spiders. As for Northern Plains Chu tribe, Chudu secretly negotiated with Feng Yuan to create a 10-plus-year business agreement. The start was good, but next was the main activity. Feng Yuan placed these dragonfish into treasure yellow heaven. He naturally placed different wills in and changed his identity. People could not find out who he was. This time, Feng Yuan used a different strategy from the Year GU business. Feng Yuan had a decisive advantage in the Year GU business. He could charge in with brute force and destroy all of his obstacles. But in terms of dragonfish, Feng Yuan's cost of raising them was not any cheaper, even though he had good methods. Thus, this time, he slowly increased the scale of his dragonfish sale. He was purposely doing this. There was little commotion and treasure yellow heaven was the same as usual. Feng Yuan cultivated as he quietly observed the market trend. Eastern Sea. GU Immortal Yu Chan was holding onto a dragonfish and observing it. Under the lantern, her beautiful face was solemn as she frowned. She carefully inspected the dragonfish for several times before placing it in her immortal aperture, sighing softly to herself. Who knows where this person came from? They are really strong. Not only are their dragonfish really outstanding, there is also an unceasing stock coming from them. Yu Chan was the #1 seller for the dragonfish business in Treasure Yellow Heaven. The Year GU business had 3 big sellers, but the dragonfish business was led by Yu Chan alone. She was far above the other GU immortals. She had been the #1 for decades. On one hand, she was a water path GU immortal. She had a natural advantage in raising dragonfish. On the other hand, she occupied the famous dragonfish sea area. This was a natural breeding ground. The scale was massive. Yu Chan not only produced dragonfish in her immortal aperture, she even occupied an area in Eastern Sea. With both production grounds, her dragonfish stock was unsurmountable. Other than these external factors, Yu Chan was a cautious person with many acquaintances. She could acutely observe people and had very perceptive senses. Yu Chan naturally had her special traits to be able to dominate the dragonfish business. This time, Feng Yuan secretly increased the stock of his dragonfish and was immediately sensed by Yu Chan. Yu Chan bought a batch of dragonfish from Feng Yuan, and after observing them, she realized that Feng Yuan was a huge foe. Yu Chan placed a lot of attention on it and immediately tried to probe Feng Yuan's background. Know yourself and your enemy, and you will never be defeated. But even though she tried to disguise as a buyer and wanted to probe information from him, Feng Yuan's will left behind no flaws. Even when Yu Chan expressed her will to communicate with Feng Yuan did not show up. After several days, Yu Chan felt increasing pressure. She found that Feng Yuan's stock was gradually increasing. And in Treasure Yellow Heaven's market, there were already many GU immortals observing this change. Even though Feng Yuan did not create a commotion, Yu Chan was starting to feel greater pressure. I cannot continue like this. Yu Chan could not wait anymore. She left the dragonfish sea area. She did not fly, she was swimming. After several hundred li, she found an undercurrent. Yu Chan went into the undercurrent and used this natural phenomenon to accelerate her journey. This was Eastern Sea's special trait, the other 4 regions did not have it. Chapter 1472, Fang Yuan's Engagement. Yu Chan was a water path GU Immortal to begin with. She used the undercurrent to travel, it was faster than normal GU Immortals flying. She went through many undercurrents. After some days, Yu Chan arrived in Nangong Clan's sea territory. Nangong Clan was a righteous path super force of Eastern Sea. After Yu Chan came to their territorial border, she stopped and landed on a nameless island. She was here in Nangong Clan to seek help. She had already used information path methods to inform him before coming. As expected, Yu Chan did not wait long. A Nangong Clan GU Immortal was waiting for her. Fairy Yu Chan, Master Hua sent me here to welcome you. He is already waiting at Hua Chao Pavilion. The Nangong Clan GU Immortal was very respectful. He did not display the prideful nature of a superforce member. On one hand, he only had rank 6 cultivation level, while Yu Chan was rank 7. On another hand, Yu Chan was a lone cultivator but had many connections. She was also one of the 6 publicly recognized great fairies in Eastern Sea. Her reputation was well known. The Nangong Clan GU Immortal had to give her ample respect. Thank you. Yu Chan smiled lightly. She instantly made the Nangong Clan GU Immortal's heart beat faster. Fairy, follow me. The Nangong Clan GU Immortal regained his cool and led the way. Yu Chan entered the sea along with him into the undercurrent. After several transitions, Yu Chan saw an immortal GU house in the sea. This immortal GU house was specially constructed. There was a pavilion in the center. There were stone tables and chairs in it. A GU Immortal was brewing tea. Yu Chan followed the Nangong Clan GU Immortal to enter the pavilion. The man inside smiled as he said, Fairy Yu Chan, you came from afar, sorry that I could not welcome you. Yu Chan smiled. Huan, you are one of the 3 wisdom path experts in Eastern Sea, what can I do if you act so arrogantly? Yu Chan and Huan were very good friends, they were just playing with each other. The truth was, Huan was originally a Hua Clan GU Immortal, but due to certain reasons, he left Hua Clan. Hua Clan was a righteous path super force. While escaping, Huan obtained Yu Chan's help, the 2 became good friends. After that, Nangong Clan took in Huan and he cultivated until he became reputed in Eastern Sea for wisdom path. There was a poem about it. Jia Dan sits in Twin Polar, Huan hides in Nangong. There is also Dragon Head Tortoise, living inside Adversity Sea. The second verse was talking about him, Huan. Even though Huan was in Nangong Clan, he was threatened by Hua Clan all along. He had faced their assassination attempts multiple times. Thus, he usually stayed inside Nangong Clan's headquarters and rarely went out. Now that he took the risk to meet Yu Chan, it displayed his sincerity. Yu Chan knew about Huan's predicaments. She was satisfied that he met with her. She even felt a little joyful. Huan laughed before pointing. Fairy, take a seat. Yu Chan did not stand on ceremony. She sat down and drank tea, before sighing, the tea is good, but my heart is full of worries, I cannot appreciate it fully. Huan nodded. Tell me in detail, Fairy, I will do my best to plan for you and resolve your worries. Yu Chan was drinking tea, while Fang Yuan drank wine. He was not drinking ordinary wine, this was engagement wine. And this engagement wine was not anyone else's but his own. Congratulations Lord Fang Yuan and Fairy Shui Er, it is truly wonderful that both of you lovers could get together. Ha ha ha, Bing Zhou laughed loudly as he spoke and toasted. Fang Yuan smiled and raised his cup in response. He looked around the place. This hall had 2 or 3 banquet tables, they were all filled with GU Immortals. Most of them were variant human GU Immortals. There were snowmen, hairy men, inkmen, and rockmen. Other than that, there was the Shadow Sect members led by Fang Yuan. Bai Ningbing was not among them. Fang Yuan had rank 8 battle strength. This was his engagement ceremony. He had an important status in the Northern Plains Variant Human Alliance. Almost all their GU Immortals joined in. The Snowman GU Immortals cheered, while the Rockman GU Immortals had stiff expressions. This engagement ceremony was a good thing for the Snowman tribe, but for the Rockmen, seeing their neighbor that had been suppressed gaining a rank 8 battle strength was simply a huge nightmare. Elder Bing Yuan, you really did something amazing. I am truly impressed. I am very, very impressed. At the banquet, the Rockman First Supreme Elder Shizong said in a grim tone towards Bing Yuan. Bing Yuan was the grandmother of Shui Er. She was the one who initiated and planned the marriage with Fang Yuan. They had finally seen some results now. This is the blessing of my granddaughter. Sigh, to speak the truth, our tribe is the unworthy party. Bing Yuan pretended not to notice Shizong's mocking tone and responded while looking at the main table. Over there, Fang Yuan was sitting at the main seat, Shui was close beside him, having an uneasy expression. Bing Yuan sighed, she seemed to be having a glamorous time, but she was internally worried. This was not the wedding that she wanted, it was merely an engagement ceremony. Bing Yuan could fully feel Fang Yuan's shrewdness, just this engagement ceremony alone made the snowmen pay a hefty price. This was her negotiation with Fang Yuan. After many difficult negotiations, they finally obtained this result. Both sides gave in a little, Fang Yuan obtained a new batch of resources, the snowmen could finally make use of Fang Yuan's authority. But to get this Fang Yuan to become one of us, such a person, did I do the right thing? Bing Yuan thought about her discussion with Fang Yuan as she started doubting this entire thing. But on the surface, Bing Yuan did not show any emotions, she smiled and interacted in the banquet, it was a great atmosphere. Eastern Sea. Wan had a look of shame as he said to Yu Chan, "Fairy, I have disappointed you, I could not deduce this person's background." "Even you, Master Hua, could not?" Yu Chan felt very surprised. Wan had a solemn expression. Firstly, just simply having the dragonfish clues make it hard to deduce. Secondly, this person has a killer move to conceal themselves that resists wisdom path deductions. Yu Chan heard this and felt even more alerted. The other party had wisdom path methods to defend against deductions, but she did not. The enemy had it but she did not, they either came prepared or had a force behind them. No matter which one, it showed that the enemy was very powerful. Don't tell me the other party's wisdom path attainment is even greater than yours. You are one of the 3 greatest wisdom path experts in Eastern Sea, you could not deduce it. Yu Chan was unresigned. Fairy, you are mistaken, wisdom path is different from water path. In this scene, it is like a river, the enemy has set up a dam at the narrowest part. No matter how wide the river is, after this dam, the water would become shallow and slow. We wisdom path GU immortals can create huge waves in deep rivers, but after this crucial dam, we cannot use any of our abilities, the effort is not worth the results. Wan explained patiently, thinking that Yu Chan was a water path cultivator, he used water as an analogy. Not just me, any other wisdom path GU immortal will not succeed in the deduction unless they break this layer of defense. Even though this defense is only at rank 6 level. Yu Chan was distressed, she did not know much about wisdom path, in fact, most GU immortals did not know about wisdom path details. On one hand, wisdom path GU immortals had always been rare. On the other hand, wisdom path GU immortals who knew about wisdom path profundities would not want to tell the world about their specific details and inheritances. Yu Chan originally thought that with Hua An's help, she would be able to find Fang Yuan's information, but to think that she failed here. But the more this was the case, the more Yu Chan did not want to give up. Hua An understood her personality. Yu Chan was not only beautiful, she also had the tenacity of water, she could reach her status and gain such accomplishments due to her hard work. Thus, Hua An suggested, we can probe even further, as long as we have more information and clues, I will have a greater chance of getting past his defenses. Even if one clue is minor, if we have a lot of them, we will eventually find our way to success. Yu Chan nodded. Wait a moment. She immediately sent her consciousness into Treasure Yellow Heaven as she looked for Fang Yuan's will. Her earlier probes did not succeed, but now she still wanted to try. Yu Chan, stop trying to test me. I am interested in the dragonfish business, or rather, I definitely want to be involved in this business. Fang Yuan's will told Yu Chan immediately. Yu Chan was shocked, her expression changed, her consciousness returned to her body and she informed Hua An. Hua An's expression changed too, this I'm afraid he has a huge background. I am the #1 person in the dragonfish business, how can someone competing with me have no background? Yu Chan rolled her eyes at Hua An. Hua An shook his head, he had a solemn expression, I am talking about his wisdom path attainment. My earlier deduction was noticed by him and he did a reverse deduction on us, that's how he found out your identity. I was already very careful, but he could actually deduce your identity with such limited information, his wisdom path attainment is definitely not lower than mine. In fact it could be higher. Is that so? Yu Chan was shocked yet again. She did not expect that after finding Hua An for help, not only did he fail to find out their background, she even got exposed in advance. Chapter 1473. Myriad Gold Wondrous Essence Physique. The banquet was extremely lively, this engagement ceremony had an extremely heavy political impact. Not only for the Variant Human Alliance, but also for Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan did not reject any of the toasts from the Variant Human GU Immortals, with his interpersonal skills, he greatly improved his relationship with all the Variant Human GU Immortals. Fang Yuan's original status was quite awkward. He was a purebred human. Inside the variant human alliance, he was a loner by nature. The variant humans were suspicious towards Fang Yuan from the start. But this time, Fang Yuan had an engagement with Shui Er. The feeling was different now. He had squeezed his way into the variant human GU Immortal circle. Before this, he was only part of Langya sect. Of course, the true reason is because I have rank 8 battle strength. Fang Yuan was crystal clear about this. In the GU Master world, an entity could rule above the group. As long as one had high cultivation level and battle strength, they would be unstoppable. If she knew I had rank 8 battle strength, would Yu Chan have backed off? Fang Yuan suddenly had a thought in his mind. The dragonfish business was Fang Yuan's next focus in his immortal aperture development. If Yu Chan backed off now, it would be perfect for Fang Yuan. But unfortunately, Yu Chan would not do that. Fang Yuan shook his head secretly. Yu Chan was currently one of the beneficiaries. It was too difficult to get her to give up her share of the cake. In Treasure Yellow Heaven, even rank 6 GU Immortals dared to contest rank 8 GU Immortals openly in business, or even provoke them. Treasure Yellow Heaven was a place not even Heavenly Court could take over. Yu Chan Eastern Sea's 6 Beauties Myriad Gold Wondrous Essence Physique. Fang Yuan entertained the guests as he thought in his mind. Others did not know Yu Chan's secret, but after gaining Shadow Sect's inheritance, Fang Yuan learned about many crucial details. One of them stated that Yu Chan had one of the 10 extreme physiques, the Myriad Gold Wondrous Essence Physique. This was Yu Chan's greatest secret. She had hidden it well, but Shadow Sect had a specialized method to search for the 10 extreme physiques. In order to refine Sovereign Immortal Fetus GU, Shadow Sect needed to gather all 10 extreme physiques. During this process, they found out about Yu Chan's secret. But back then, Shadow Sect already had the Myriad Gold Wondrous Essence Physique, so they did not target Yu Chan. As for why Yu Chan had the Myriad Gold Wondrous Essence Physique but cultivated Water Path, that was the difficulty faced by lone cultivators. Yu Chan obtained a Water Path inheritance in the past. Without other options, she had to cultivate it solely. And later, it was too hard to change paths due to the risks involved. Yu Chan thus went on with it until now. Fang Yuan could deduce that Yu Chan was deducing him because he had a lot of information about her. He knew that she was his biggest competition in the dragonfish business. On the other hand, Fang Yuan had Ghost Official Garment and many of Purple Mountain True Monarch's killer moves. He even had the methods from Shadow Sect and Langya Sect. As for the Myriad Gold Wondrous Essence Physique, it was written in less than the Legends of Ren Zhu greater than, Chapter 4, Section 27. Legend says that the Miniman surpassed boundless forest samsara and persevered to build the ladder and made his way out of ordinary abyss. When the Miniman saw Ren Zhu sighed. If he had perseverance GU back then, he would have conquered Reverse Flow River and would not have created such a mess. Ren Zhu wanted to save his children, but until now, he had not achieved anything. Ren Zhu saw that the Miniman had perseverance GU and gained new hope. He said to the Miniman, "Oh Miniman, I need your help." The Miniman asked, "Oh Ren Zhu, how do you want me to help you?" Ren Zhu told the Miniman that he wanted to borrow and use perseverance GU. The Miniman said, "Oh Ren Zhu, the reason why I could leave ordinary abyss was because I used the trees that you planted. I chopped down those trees and built my ladder, thus, I owe you a favor." The Miniman agreed to lend perseverance GU to Ren Zhu. But after Ren Zhu gained perseverance GU, he realized he could not use it. "This is the perseverance of the Miniman, not yours, Ren Zhu." Cognition GU appeared at this time and told Ren Zhu this fact. Ren Zhu was anguished. He sighed deeply. He asked Cognition GU, "Then what should I do? I know that perseverance GU can help me but I cannot use it. I know the Featherman can help me but love cannot control them." Cognition GU told Ren Zhu, "Nobody can force anyone to love them, but you can create a GU to lure the Featherman into helping you do things. Think about it, how did the Miniman gain perseverance GU?" Cognition GU's words were a huge inspiration to Ren Zhu. Ren Zhu was overjoyed. "Oh Cognition GU, thank you for the great idea. I know what to do now. I want to create my own GU." Cognition GU was curious. "What GU is that?" Ren Zhu shook his head. "I am not sure, but I have an idea. I want this GU to be something everyone in the world wants." Thus, Ren Zhu left ordinary abyss and went to the Blue Sea. This was the Blue Sea that formed life GU. It was the source of all life in the world. Ren Zhu had walked ashore from the Blue Sea. He was back here again. Ren Zhu was thirsty. He scooped up the Blue Sea water and drank a few mouthfuls. He got more thirsty as he drank it, but Ren Zhu was satisfied. "I want to use the Blue Sea water to refine GU." After I succeed, no matter who obtains it, they will never be satisfied, they will want more. Thus, Renzu took away a lot of blue sea water. After the sea level reduced, the beach was exposed. Renzu found that there were many sea urchin-like Gu on the beach. This was not life Gu, it was difficulty Gu. Any life would face difficulties. Renzu's eyes shone, he said, I want to refine Gu that everyone needs, but to obtain it, there will be difficulties. Thus, he took many difficulty Gu. After doing all these, Renzu left the blue sea and headed to the door of life and death. After entering it, Renzu did not go deeply into the door of life and death, but only walked one round around the road of life. He gathered a lot of worry Gu as he said, I want to refine Gu that after getting it, people will not abandon easily, they will be worried that it will go missing. After leaving the door of life and death, along the way, Renzu met with sadness Gu. Renzu laughed happily. Excellent, I want to refine Gu in which once people lose it, they will be very sad. This way, people will not abandon it easily. Thus, he collected the sadness Gu. Renzu had gathered everything, he started to refine Gu. The flames of the Gu refinement raged on, a lot of black smoke was produced, attracting many Gu and lifeforms to come and watch. Oh Renzu, what Gu are you trying to refine? Stupidity Gu was lured here as it asked curiously. Renzu smiled. Oh stupidity Gu, if you want to know, go into the fire and see for yourself. Stupidity Gu went inside and never came out again. Not long after, wisdom Gu came here as well, it asked, oh Renzu, what are you trying to refine? Renzu laughed. Oh wisdom Gu, if you want to know, go into the fire and see for yourself. Wisdom Gu flew in too. But it only flew into the black smoke, once its vision was obscured, it flew around randomly and flew out again. Renzu, oh Renzu, I was almost deceived by you. I already know what you are refining, I am leaving. Saying this, wisdom Gu flew away. Renzu felt that it was a pity, he sighed. This way, after my Gu is refined, it can enslave stupid people and blind wise people for some time. Days passed one by one. The Gu refinement flame continued to burn, but he did not succeed. The black smoke did not fade away, it gathered in the sky and created huge black clouds. Oh Renzu, you must have felt it, we are just one step away. This final step is the most crucial one. Cognition Gu said. Renzu nodded, he stood up with determination and walked towards the fire. It seems that this Gu needs to be created with human hands. Saying so, Renzu chopped off both hands and threw them into the fire. Boom! The flame exploded as the endless dark clouds in the sky faded. Under the golden sunlight that shone down, a little girl appeared before Renzu. Oh Father, thank you for giving life to me, I am myriad gold wondrous essence. The girl was radiating an aura of prosperity, she smiled towards Renzu. Renzu looked at her and laughed, ha ha ha, I have another daughter now. But wait, did my Gu refinement succeed? Myriad gold wondrous essence opened her right palm as she held the Gu towards Renzu. Look Father, this is the Gu that you refined, it is called, wealth. Chapter 1474, Wealth Gu. Western Desert. This was a desert, the terrain was flat and endless towards the horizon. There was a cracked rocky terrain with no vegetation growing. But deep underground, it was another world. There was a huge mine built in an area full of natural ore. 100,000 rockmen were living here as miners, excavating all sorts of materials for Gu immortals. This was the famous Myriad Ore Desert in Western Desert, it was in the control of the Superforce Shi clan. The ore here were of various types and had huge quantity. Other than the mortal resources excavated by the rockmen, a lot of the immortal ore needed Gu immortals to excavate themselves. Like the subterranean adamantite, it was the hardest rank 6 immortal material. Or the dark inkstone, even the ancient sword dragon's claws could not leave a mark on it. And deep below this Myriad Ore Desert, there was a huge gold fragment river current. The gold fragment current was a metallic river in immemorial yellow heaven, a fragment of the immemorial yellow heaven had fallen into the Myriad Ore Desert back then. The immemorial yellow heaven fragment was once a land of treasures explored by Gu immortals and Gu masters. But as time passed and eras changed, the fragment got smaller and smaller before dissipating. In the process of dissipating, the Tao marks that left it turned the surrounding desert into the Myriad Ore Desert. And this gold fragment current was part of that fragment in the past, it had not dried up even until today. Fang Yuan's mini yellow heaven also had a gold fragment current, but it was very small, it was like an ant compared to the Myriad Ore Desert's gold fragment current. And in this huge gold fragment current, there was an immortal GU formation. The GU formation had been active all the time, monitoring the myriad ore desert and controlling the countless rockmen miners. Boom! Suddenly, there was a huge explosion as a blinding light emerged from the immortal formation. A crack was created in it as a door opened. Thick smoke came out from within the door. Cough, cough. From the colorful smoke, a rockman GU immortal walked out. But as he walked out, the rock skin on him fell off as his true identity was revealed. He was a purebred human GU immortal. He was middle-aged and had a mature gaze. His appearance was ordinary. He seemed like an easy-going person. Right now, he was covered in soot as he coughed. The 89th GU refinement failed as well. The middle-aged GU immortal sighed as he coughed out blood. The blood clumps he coughed out were very special. After landing on the ground, they turned into all sorts of jewels. There were pearls, agate, jade, gold, silver, bronze, and more. If Fang Yuan was here, he would be shocked if he saw this, even with his knowledge. What was the reason this middle-aged GU immortal suffered such a weird injury? The middle-aged GU immortal looked at the jewels around him as he had a peaceful appearance, not feeling surprised. Because he knew what he was doing, he was refining Wealth GU. Wealth GU, it was a legendary GU written in less than the legends of Renzu greater than. According to Renzo's biography, it was made from blue sea water, Renzo's hands, worry GU, difficulty GU, sadness GU, wisdom GU, and stupidity GU. However, it was basically impossible for the GU immortal to refine this GU according to that recipe now. This was not just because it was a story, but because a lot of details were subtle and not literal. And these materials were already extinct in the current world. Fang Yuan had rank 9 wisdom GU even though it was not refined by him yet. But the blue sea was already missing. How could anyone find blue sea water? Even if they had it, what about Renzo's hands? Then why was this middle-aged GU immortal trying to refine Wealth GU? It was the usual saying, man is the spirit of all living beings, GU is the essence of heaven and earth. Humans could create countless recipes to refine an immortal GU. The method in less than the legends of Renzu greater than could not be used, but the GU immortal could modify the recipe themselves. This middle-aged GU immortal cultivated Earth Path, but he had a fortuitous encounter in his early days. He obtained an incomplete immortal GU recipe. It was unknown who was that person who left this incomplete recipe of Wealth GU in his research to refine it. The middle-aged GU immortal obtained it and treated it as his treasure, because he knew that it was a precious GU recipe and the predecessor's contribution was huge. If he worked on this recipe, he could likely refine Wealth GU. From this Wealth GU recipe, the predecessor managed to deduce the effect of Wealth GU. If he could refine Wealth GU, he would be able to turn it into anything in this world. That thing could be gold, silver, or bronze. It could be rank 6 immortal material or even rank 9 immortal material. But Wealth GU could not turn into any living being, including animals, plants, humans, variant humans, and GU. If I refine Wealth GU, I will be able to turn it into any immortal material in the world. It is a hugely profitable business. I only need to convert it into an extinct GU material to gain immense wealth. I can even increase my cultivation foundation and surpass the entire Shi clan. The middle-aged GU immortal was extremely moved. He wanted to refine Wealth GU desperately. He did not tell anyone about this. He was afraid of people's greed. This middle-aged GU immortal was Shi Zhang. Shi clan was a righteous path super force in Western Desert. Shi Zhang had an awkward position in Shi clan. Even though he had rank 7 cultivation level, he was ostracized by Shi clan's GU immortals. There was a historical reason for this. Shi Zhang's father betrayed the clan and caused huge losses to them, not just in resources but also GU immortals' lives. Thus, since a young age, Shi Zhang had not been well treated by the Shi clan GU immortals. In order to gain trust, Shi Zhang changed his name to Shi Zhang I to express his loyalty to the clan. But that did not change anything. He was sent away by Shi clan's first supreme elder to defend this myriad ore desert. This place had abundant resources, but it bordered other super forces that were enemies of Shi clan. Shi Zhang was in great danger here. And there was little profits to be gained because this immortal formation was monitored the entire time. It was so strict Shi Zhang had no chance to do anything. The truth was, even if it was not strict, Shi Zhang would not try anything. If he was found out, his circumstances would be much worse. Precisely so, Shi Zhang held great anticipation towards Wealth GU. The basis of GU immortal cultivation is the management of one's immortal aperture. Without deep assets and foundation, No matter how much your battle strength is, that is only temporary, it is like building a skyscraper on a ground of sand. Shi Zhang had this realization, he had been working hard, even though the process was tough, he had never given up. Thinking about his Gu immortal cultivation journey, other than preparing for the necessary tribulations, he had invested all of his resources into the project of refining wealth Gu. 89 failures, I do not have enough humans now. Shi Zhang healed his injuries and checked his inventory, he realized that his human Gu material was insufficient, he had to collect more. Shi Zhang was a righteous path Gu immortal, but he actually used humans as Gu material, that was a demonic act. But as long as he kept it a secret, nobody would know, Shi Zhang did not leave any evidence behind, nobody could target him. Shi Zhang was very cautious in this, he would not let anyone find any clues to his actions. The human slaves that he bought were all from Treasure Yellow Heaven, they were very safe purchases. I am using humans in place of the blue sea water in Wealth Gu's recipe as well as Renzo's hands. This is not wrong, but was it not enough, do I need to add in lifespan Gu as well? Shi Zhang considered, he had lifespan Gu, but he did not dare to waste them. Less than the legends of Renzu greater than wrote that even though wisdom Gu was not sacrificed like stupidity Gu, it was part of the refinement process, I do not have wisdom Gu, I used other wisdom path Gu worms in place of it, I can improve upon this aspect. Worry Gu, difficulty Gu, sadness Gu, Shi Zhang had all of these mortal Gu, they were not hard to get. He could even refine stupidity Gu himself. The Gu recipe is getting more and more complete. Shi Zhang healed his injuries and inspected the blood he spat on the ground. His blood had turned into jewels and ore. Chapter 1475, Heavenly Secret Gu Refined. Shi Zhang had been immersed in this for a long time, he could tell that he had improved by observing his blood clumps. Even though I improved this time, I am still far from success, there are a few missing steps. I need to work harder. Shi Zhang was very experienced in this, he had a strong instinct developing. He calculated and it was time to feed his immortal Gu again. Shi Zhang inherited his family's inheritance, he had multiple immortal Gu, that made the other Shi clan Gu immortals very envious. It was a pity that taking over the inheritance had rules and could not be broken. Shi Zhang owning these immortal Gu was also a reason why he was targeted and ostracized by other Shi clan Gu immortals. He inspected his inventory and felt a huge headache. It is a little troublesome, I lack some food. I forgot that when refining wealth Gu, because I was missing some materials, I sold some of the food for my immortal Gu that I had prepared earlier. At this time it is too difficult to gather more food. I should buy some dragonfish in place of the food, and feed my immortal Gu first. Thinking of this, Shi Zhang did not hesitate, his consciousness went into Treasure Yellow Heaven. Dragonfish, he had a clear objective, he found that many Gu immortals were selling dragonfish. As a buyer, he had to compare the goods of multiple sellers. The dragonfish business was not like year Gu, it was sold all year round. Because dragonfish bred in all seasons, its market was lively at all times. Shi Zhang first went to Yu Chan's stall. As everyone knew, Yu Chan was the #1 dragonfish seller in Treasure Yellow Heaven. But she did not sell only dragonfish, she also sold other products, though primarily fish species. In the past, when Shi Zhang wanted to buy dragonfish, he would get them from Yu Chan because her reputation made her very trustworthy. If things went as expected, he would buy dragonfish from her this time as well. After seeing Yu Chan's goods, Shi Zhang did not buy them yet, he went to look around. He soon found Fang Yuan's stall. Someone is selling dragonfish here too. There is quite a high quantity. Shi Zhang looked around and felt quite surprised. He inspected and found that the dragonfish sold here were high in quantity and quality, they were on par with Yu Chan's dragonfish. And this stall seems more popular too. Shi Zhang looked around, there were several Gu immortal wills here, as well as some divine senses communicating here. To think that after being in secluded cultivation for so long, the dragonfish business in Treasure Yellow Heaven has a new strong contender. Shi Zhang was thinking when a Gu immortal will went to him and spoke. Friend, you are here to buy dragonfish too. Why don't we buy it together, it will be cheaper. This divine sense said. Oh, what is going on? Shi Zhang asked. That divine sense explained. You do not know. The dragonfish seller here has different rules. As long as you purchase beyond a certain quantity, the price will be lower. There are several classifications, but the point is that the more you buy, the cheaper it is. Shi Zhang heard this and praised in his mind, this method is great. Next, he thought of himself. Maybe I can use this method when I sell things in the future. Shi Zhang considered it and felt the brilliance of this method. Even though it was essentially a drop in prices, with a higher quantity sold, the overall profits would still increase. Compared to the year GU price war earlier, this method was much more subtle and profound. Using this method not only makes the sales of the dragonfish higher, it can raise their reputation. If someone really wants to buy dragonfish, to make it cheaper, they will invite their friends or even strangers to buy it together. It is a form of publicity for the seller. Shi Zhang kept thinking about it. He felt that the dragonfish seller truly had amazing ideas. No wonder the GU Immortal stall here has more people compared to that number one seller. There might be proxies here set by the seller, not here to buy dragonfish but only existing to create a crowd. Shi Zhang instantly felt interest about this seller. Forget it, I will buy it from here. The price is cheaper after all. Thinking about this, Shi Zhang communicated with the unknown immortal and worked together. Both sides were very happy. After both sides negotiated, they purchased 100,000 dragonfish together. After the purchase, they split the goods in Treasure Yellow Heaven and returned satisfied. Setting aside how Shi Zhang is going to feed his immortal GU, the GU immortal who cooperated with Shi Zhang immediately left Treasure Yellow Heaven after getting the goods and returned to the sovereign immortal aperture. Shi Zhang guessed right, the person who bought it with him was a proxy. They were not Fang Yuan but one of the other GU immortals from Shadow Sect. Even if people could guess this, how could they prove it in Treasure Yellow Heaven? There was no way. Actually, this was not a method invented by Fang Yuan. Shi Zhang had been focused on GU refinement and did not pay much attention to Treasure Yellow Heaven. This method had been used by people long ago. The novelty of the idea was not important, only the effect mattered. Ignoring anything else, Fang Yuan was very successful at doing this. These last days, as he increased the quantity of his goods in Treasure Yellow Heaven, he had gotten much more attention. A huge quantity represented his capabilities. Buyers were naturally more willing to buy from a more reliable seller. On the other hand, Fang Yuan used the appropriate method to sell them. His reputation was slowly climbing. Fang Yuan's dragonfish were of high quality. With the food path immortal formation, their quality would only continue to increase. Initially, there were few GU immortals who bought from him and they only bought a few each time. But gradually, more and more GU immortals bought dragonfish from him. The quantity sold was rapidly increasing as well. In fact, he was getting recurring customers. As Fang Yuan's greatest dragonfish business competitor, Eastern Sea's Yu Chan was still selling her dragonfish calmly without any commotion. Yu Chan's inaction is correct, because in the short term, my method cannot threaten her. In fact, if she tries to use a similar tactic, it would greatly erode her earnings. After all, she is selling much more dragonfish than me. Fang Yuan thought to himself. Yu Chan was acting very calmly in this situation. She had a great disposition. But after a while, she will start getting worried. Fang Yuan was very confident. The food path immortal formation he created only used a few immortal GU and some immortal essence to use. It was extraordinary. But this method needed at least several or even a dozen generations of dragonfish breeding to see effect. Yu Chan was not anxious, neither was Fang Yuan. The longer this dragged on, the greater his advantage in the dragonfish business. After retrieving his divine sense from Treasure Yellow Heaven, Fang Yuan came to the GU refinement hall and saw Sixth Hair. Sixth Hair was thin and haggard. In order to refine GU for Fang Yuan, he had gone all out. He was exhausted both mentally and physically. Now, he was at the final step of Heavenly Secret Gu's refinement. It was time for Fang Yuan to act. White light filled the GU refinement hall. Nobody could open their eyes in such intense light. Fang Yuan shut his eyes and entered the white light. He stopped when he got to the center. An intense aura assaulted him. It was neither mortal nor immortal. It was in between, at the final step before a qualitative change. We can start now. Fang Yuan cleared his mind as he transmitted to Sixth Hair. After counting down, Sixth Hair deactivated the refinement path immortal formation in the hall. Fang Yuan immediately took over. Countless thoughts emerged from his mind. He used wisdom path methods concurrently. He took over the immortal formation successfully. Under his hard work, the surrounding white light condensed and formed into a huge ring. The ring was parallel to the ground. It surrounded Fang Yuan with him in the center. Refinement path killer move, heavenly light ring. The first rotation. Fang Yuan willed as the ring started to rotate slowly. The first rotation succeeded. At the second rotation, Fang Yuan opened his eyes and used his gaze to move the ring. It started to rotate even faster. After several minutes, the second rotation succeeded, and at the third rotation, Fang Yuan used his breath to move the ring. After a moment, he succeeded. The fourth, fifth, and sixth rotations also succeeded as time passed. Feng Yuan was at the final seventh rotation. It seems that sect leader put in a lot of effort after that failure. Sixth Hare watched from the side with anxiety, he sighed. Seventh rotation. Feng Yuan gritted his teeth and did his best to rotate the ring. Right now, the ring had already shrunk to basin size, it floated above his head. Boom! With a soft sound, the ring shrunk into a tiny speck. This was a GU. Rank 7 Heavenly Secret GU landed on Feng Yuan's head. I actually succeeded. Even the person himself, Feng Yuan, was surprised. He failed the first refinement, but actually succeeded on the second try. After his surprise, Feng Yuan felt intense joy. Maybe it was because I used luck path methods and had really good luck. Feng Yuan took Heavenly Secret GU down from his head and looked at it. This immortal GU resembled a dragonfly, but upon closer inspection, it looked more like a twig. The entire Heavenly Secret Immortal GU was very long, it was half the length of an adult arm. Its body was thin and long like a twig, it was very soft. There were 7 feathered wings on each of its 2 sides, they were thin and green, resembling leaves. It was flying casually in the air, or rather, it was so slow it looked like it was floating. Feng Yuan observed it for a while before letting out a breath of air, sighing, I finally refined Heavenly Secret Immortal GU. Chapter 1476, Heaven's Will Dissipation. Deep under Eastern Sea. I am ashamed, you came all this way but I could not help you. Yuan smiled bitterly as he said to Yu Chan. The two were parting now. Yu Chan came to find Yuan for help, but because of Feng Yuan's superior wisdom path defense method, not only did Yuan fail to find out anything, Yu Chan even got exposed in the process. After hearing Yuan's words, Yu Chan shook her head, she looked at Yuan's strands of white hair as she said sincerely, Yuan, don't say that. You expended your own lifespan for my matter when doing the deduction, I will engrave this in my mind. The reason we did not succeed was because the other party was too strong. Yuan nodded. Your opponent this time is not simple. But no matter what, I failed to help you this time. If you need any help in the future, come and find me, as long as you do not mind my low attainment in wisdom path. Oh you. Yu Chan smiled. Yuan's words made her eyes shine, the gloominess in her heart dissipated. The two bid farewell. Yu Chan flew in the sky. The wind brushed against her face and clothes. While feeling this cold wind, she was calm as ice. Even though the opponent is very strong, I will not give up. Even though Yuan failed to deduce anything, that does not mean I do not have strength. It is time to counterattack in my own way. Yu Chan made up her mind, looking at the sky and sea, her face was filled with determination. Feng Yuan soon caught wind of Yu Chan's new actions. He had been paying attention to her. Yu Chan added a new rule when selling the dragonfish. As long as returning customers bought from her, they would get a discount. For a period of 10 years, as long as they bought dragonfish from her across consecutive years, they would get higher discounts. Once she did that, she stabilized the situation. Many of the buyers who were lured to Feng Yuan earlier returned to her quickly. Yu Chan's method made full use of her advantage, she was bullying Feng Yuan for being a complete newcomer in this business. Feng Yuan could not employ this same method with the same effectiveness as her. Not only did Yu Chan do this, she also increased her stock of dragonfish in Treasure Yellow Heaven, they piled up into a mountain, her desolate beast dragonfish could form into an army. She was blatantly displaying her huge wealth and foundation. With this, she obtained great results. Treasure Yellow Heaven's discussions were all regarding Yu Chan. Yu Chan is the #1 seller after all, to think that she had so much dragonfish for sale. That challenger must be stunned now, no matter who he is, there is a difference between him and Yu Chan. Yu Chan has been in this business for so long, her #1 throne is not so easy to take down. Let's wait a while, I feel like the mysterious challenger is not so simple. A small group of GU immortals were awaiting Feng Yuan's response. But for the following period of time, Feng Yuan did not do anything, it was as if he did not hear about Yu Chan's actions. Feng Yuan still sold his dragonfish like before, even though his business was just starting to take off, he had suffered a huge blow. Yu Chan's current strength far surpasses me. My current strength is too low, if we compete, it will not be wise. Even Feng Yuan himself had to admit that after seeing Yu Chan's assets, his foundation in the dragonfish business was much lower than Yu Chan. Feng Yuan had only raised his dragonfish for so long, Yu Chan had been in this for a longer period. This was Feng Yuan's weakness in accumulation, he could not catch up to her in the meantime. Feng Yuan endured Yu Chan's counterattack and provocation. Those GU immortals who were watching the show gave up on their expectations towards Fang Yuan. Only Yu Chan did not put down her wariness. Fang Yuan's inaction was a surprise to her, she felt a little worried. A sheathed sword was the scariest. If Fang Yuan had reacted to her actions, Yu Chan would be able to counterattack based on his actions. But Fang Yuan refused to do anything. Yu Chan did not know what to do now, she was naturally feeling vexed and worried. Should I go on the offensive? Should I force him to react? Yu Chan thought about it, she decided to use the most stable method. Forget it, this situation is greatly advantageous to me. At this rate, in a few months, this mysterious opponent's business will completely collapse, he will lose all of his customers. In this situation, why should I be worried? He should be the anxious one. Yu Chan cultivated water path. She knew the saying, water benefits all things but does not contend with them. There was no need to act excessively one. Fang Yuan observed her for a few days, he soon found that Yu Chan started to stay passive now. He praised her in his mind, he realized, he had met with a troublesome opponent this time in the dragonfish business. But Fang Yuan felt no anxiety. He had a revised plan for this dragonfish business. The longer we drag on, the greater my advantage, I should wait for now. His immortal aperture development was stuck at the dragonfish business, but that did not stop him from cultivating other aspects. His soul foundation had already accumulated to 80 million man soul, he should have gone to 100 million man soul, but during this period, Fang Yuan practiced immortal killer move split soul, his soul was often injured and his foundation was lowered. But this way, Fang Yuan's gain was that split soul became more and more complete. He even used the light of wisdom during this period to modify the steps of activating split soul. Other than split soul, Fang Yuan also practiced other soul path killer moves. But these killer moves had weaker strength than the original version because he lacked immortal GU. Fang Yuan's current focus was on Heavenly Secret Immortal GU. Different from most GU immortals, whenever Fang Yuan obtains a new immortal GU, his strength would rise sharply. This was because he had a vast number of inheritances, including the usage of many immortal GU. Heavenly Secret Immortal GU was created by Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable, it was later refined by Spectral Soul Demon Venerable Split Soul Old Man Yan Shi, and was destroyed in the Battle of Yitian Mountain. Right now, Fang Yuan had refined it again. Fang Yuan took out Heavenly Secret Immortal GU. Heavenly Secret had 7 pairs of feather wings, it was floating before Fang Yuan. Even until now, when Fang Yuan saw this immortal GU, he would sigh at his own good luck. He did not expect that he had only tried to refine this GU twice and succeeded on the second try. This was a rank 7 immortal GU. His success was very lucky, it felt like a dream to Fang Yuan. If he had to try again, he had no confidence at all, he could not replicate this success. Refining immortal GU was like this, it could make a GU immortal feel a roller coaster of emotions. Sometimes, one could fail 100 times without success. But sometimes, they could succeed after 1 or 2 tries. Fang Yuan had refined GU countless times, he had chains of failures, and also a lucky success like Heavenly Secret Immortal GU, refining GU was really an uncertainty. It was truly a gamble. Different from other immortal GU, there were only a few immortal killer moves involving Heavenly Secret Immortal GU. This was because Old Man Yan Shi had not created Heavenly Secret Immortal GU for a long time, and due to Shadow Sect's plans, Old Man Yan Shi needed to spend a lot of time on the overall plans, and only created a few killer moves for it. And most importantly, the most valuable move was exposing Heavenly Secret. This killer move could predict the contents of heavenly tribulations and earthly calamities, the usefulness of it was immense. As long as the prediction succeeds, one could put up defensive measures against it, the success rate of the tribulation would rise greatly, this was an immortal GU that would greatly shook the GU immortal world. Or maybe, I can start a business on this. Fang Yuan had a thought. Once this business gets on track and becomes reputed, it might not have a stream of profits all year round, but each time he had a deal, the profits would be immense. There was definitely a market for it. However, in his current situation, Fang Yuan thought about it and gave up. Because he did not want to expose the immortal GU. His greatest enemy was Heavenly Court. He had 10 years to stop Heavenly Court from repairing Fate GU completely. Right now, even though he developed rapidly, he was still endlessly far away from this goal, there was no hope of success. In this situation, Fang Yuan needed to keep Heavenly Secret Immortal GU as his trump card. If he did business with it, Heavenly Court's Wisdom Path GU immortals were not fools, they would learn about this. Thus, Fang Yuan intended to conceal Heavenly Secret Immortal GU and not expose news of it. Wasting no time, Fang Yuan started to practice his killer moves. This killer move used Heavenly Secret Immortal Gu as the core. It was not exposing Heavenly Secret, but was called Heaven's Will Dissipation. For the short period of time, Fang Yuan did not need to urgently practice exposing Heavenly Secret. Because earthly calamities and heavenly tribulations were no longer problems for him, he could easily pass them. At rank 7, the only risky one was Grand Tribulations. But he was far away from a Grand Tribulation. Heaven's Will Dissipation was a Wisdom Path killer move. It used Heavenly Secret Immortal Gu as the core. It targeted Heaven's Will and could get rid of Heaven's Will completely. This move was created by Old Man Yan Shi, but he did not succeed. Heaven's Will Dissipation was only an incomplete move when Fang Yuan obtained it. Fang Yuan practiced it for a while. The incomplete move could not succeed in activation of course, but the process allowed Fang Yuan to learn about the profundity of Heaven's Will Dissipation. He praised Old Man Yan Shi's talent in his mind. With Heavenly Secret Immortal Gu's help, Heaven's Will could be directly attacked by the Gu Immortal and eliminate it. But there were many factors in this. He was still far from actually succeeding. But that was not a problem for Fang Yuan. He had lower wisdom path attainment level than Old Man Yan Shi, but he had his own foundation, and he could use the greatest advantage he had, the light of wisdom. Wisdom Gu showed the power and value of a rank 9 Immortal Gu once again. Several days later, Fang Yuan completed the incomplete Heaven's Will Dissipation. After getting this move, he started to use it on Spring Autumn Cicada. Chapter 1477, Copper Dragonfish. This immortal Gu looked like a cicada. Its head and stomach were brown and yellow. There were tree bark rings on its surface. The wings on its back were huge. They were translucent and resembled two overlapping tree leaves. It was emitting rank 6 Immortal Gu aura at all times. It was the rank 6 time path Immortal Gu, Spring Autumn Cicada. The current Spring Autumn Cicada was sealed by Fang Yuan within the immortal zombie body's aperture. Its body was warm and shiny, its wings were green like fresh leaves. This showed that Spring Autumn Cicada had completely recovered. It could be used already. If it was right after rebirth, Spring Autumn Cicada's body would have no shininess. It would be dark and withered like rotting wood. Its wings would be yellow like the wilting leaves of autumn. The tips of its wings would curl up and look like fallen leaves. Spring Autumn Cicada had a huge background. It was the immortal Gu created by one of the 10 venerables in human history, Red Lotus Demon Venerable, personally. It was also his vital Gu. It had an important status. Its effect was to let a Gu immortal sacrifice everything they had as fuel to move in the river of time, carrying their will upstream towards the past. Spring Autumn Cicada's ability was incredible, but it had a major flaw too. The owner of Spring Autumn Cicada would have their luck weakened at all times. Simply speaking, Spring Autumn Cicada attracted bad luck. At this moment, Fang Yuan looked at Spring Autumn Cicada with complex emotions. It had been with him since his previous life. Without Spring Autumn Cicada, there would not be Fang Yuan. There was a question: which immortal Gu had the biggest significance to a Gu immortal? This question's answer varied among people. Every Gu immortal had their own answer. But Fang Yuan only had one answer. It was Spring Autumn Cicada. Forget about his past life, looking at his current life. Qingmao Mountain, Three Kings Blessed Land, Yitian Mountain, Spring Autumn Cicada displayed its might each time. It was Red Lotus Demon Venerable's vital Gu indeed. Fang Yuan managed to turn the situation around and escape from danger each time. But after the Battle of Yitian Mountain, he had lost Spring Autumn Cicada. Even though Fang Yuan regained Spring Autumn Cicada later, it was filled with Heaven's Will and he could not use it anymore. Fang Yuan left the control of Heaven's Will and became its enemy. The Spring Autumn Cicada filled with Heaven's Will was completely unusable to Fang Yuan. To display Spring Autumn Cicada's ability again, Fang Yuan would need to get rid of the Heaven's Will within. If not, even if he tried to rebirth, Heaven's Will would directly kill him. Now let me see how this move works. Fang Yuan muttered as bright light shone in his eyes. Immortal killer move, Heaven's Will Dissipation. After some preparation, Fang Yuan's body was covered in a gray-white light. Next, he used his hand that was covered in the gray-white light to touch the immortal zombie body. The gray-white light was like flowing water. It flowed down from his body and arm to cover the entire immortal zombie body. The gray-white light lasted for a while before changing. Eyes appeared in the gray-white light. These eyes were multicolored, resembling a rainbow. They first appeared around Fang Yuan's palm, before they increased in numbers and spread to the surroundings. Soon, these multicolored eyeballs covered the immortal zombie body. They blinked as they changed colors with each blink. Next, the multicolored eyeballs spread towards the aperture. Eventually, spring-autumn cicada's surface was covered by a small layer of colored eyeballs. The colored eyeballs blinked continuously. Each time they blinked, it was an attack against heaven's will. Spring-autumn cicada started to shake. The multicolored eyeballs were created and destroyed continuously. Feng Yuan continued to expend his red date immortal essence to allow an unceasing stream of multicolored eyeballs to grow. Spring-autumn cicada started to shake intensely. After a while of shaking, Feng Yuan saw that spring-autumn cicada's surface had a mild crack. His heart sank as he quickly stopped the killer move. Goo! His body shook like he was zapped by lightning. He had stopped the move too quickly. Feng Yuan was injured from it. But this mild injury could not compare to the safety of spring-autumn cicada. Feng Yuan ignored his injuries. He quickly checked his spring-autumn cicada. The crack on spring-autumn cicada was not evident, but Feng Yuan had a vigilant nature. The moment it appeared, he noticed it. The crack meant that spring-autumn cicada was injured. Almost all GU worms were fragile, be they rank 6, 7, or even 9. Even if spring-autumn cicada was Red Lotus Demon Venerable's vital GU, it was no exception. After inspecting it, Feng Yuan's expression was solemn. Heaven's will, Feng Yuan gritted his teeth. Spring-autumn cicada's injury was not severe, because he had discovered it early. Such a mild injury was easy to handle. But he could not continue using heaven's will dissipation. At this rate, cracks would enlarge and increase in numbers. Spring-autumn cicada would be destroyed. Heaven's will's influence on spring-autumn cicada was far deeper and more severe than Feng Yuan had expected. Feng Yuan thought about it for a moment and found his solutions. He had two ways now. One was to continue modifying Immortal killer move Heaven's will dissipation until it could get rid of Heaven's will without harming spring-autumn cicada. The second was to use Shadow Sect's method, using refinement path methods to refine spring-autumn cicada before reverse refining it. During this process, he would get rid of the Heaven's will. These two methods were flawed. Modifying Heaven's will dissipation was quite hard. The truth was, it was not easy for Feng Yuan to deduce Heaven's will dissipation. It was near his limit. It was not impossible to continue progressing in this aspect, but he would need to spend a huge amount of time, effort, and resources. And Shadow Sect's GU refinement method was only a concept. It was hard to execute in real life. Heaven's will had such a huge influence on spring-autumn cicada, along with the risk that came with GU refinement. As long as it wreaked havoc, accidents would occur during the refinement process. It seems that I need to combine both methods. That would be the safest method. Feng Yuan thought about it. He decided to go ahead with both ways. Feng Yuan moved quickly, coming to Wisdom GU. I'll rely on you. Wisdom GU flew around Feng Yuan before emitting the light of wisdom. Bathing in the light of wisdom, Feng Yuan easily used many wisdom path methods. Thoughts moved in his mind like huge waves. Countless thoughts were produced and destroyed. They collided and created major fireworks. Red Date Immortal Essence was expended rapidly. Feng Yuan's forehead was soon covered in sweat. The difficulty of the deduction was huge. It was evident from Feng Yuan's tightly knitted brows. 15 minutes, 30 minutes after 2 hours, Feng Yuan stopped. He let out a breath of air. His expression was pale. He had given it his all in his deduction. His brain was hurting now. His soul had turned dim. His vision also turned dark. After resting for some time, Feng Yuan recovered and used the light of wisdom for deductions again. The deduction was very difficult. His wisdom path Grand Master attainment level was useless here. It was beyond his current capability. Feng Yuan was forcefully using the light of wisdom to break through. But Feng Yuan had a determined personality. He refused to give up. He had no such thoughts of backing down. He even placed his soul path cultivation and killer move practice aside. He placed all his time and energy into the wisdom path deduction. Even without any sleep or rest, working as hard as he could, progress was slow. But Feng Yuan persevered. It is fine as long as there is progress. Even if a day has little progress, what if I spend days, tens of days or even months on this? With such determination and perseverance, Feng Yuan went on to tackle this problem head-on. During this period, his dragonfish business was starting to find a breakthrough. Sovereign Immortal Aperture, Dragon Scale Sea Area. Countless dragonfish formed into groups as they swam in the sea. Dragonfish looked like red carps, but much larger. Desolate Beast dragonfish had even larger bodies. They were giants in the sea. But the battle strength of the dragonfish was bottom tier, nothing of value. After this period of breeding, a special type of dragonfish had appeared in Feng Yuan's Dragon Scale Sea Area. This dragonfish was smaller than normal dragonfish. At the same time, the scales were a bit dimmer, having a metallic luster to it, resembling red copper. The copper dragonfish has finally been bred. Fang Yuan inspected it and felt satisfied. Dragonfish were not a natural life form, they were created by a food path Gu Immortal. The person who created the dragonfish was none other than the beast man who created food path itself. Fang Yuan obtained the inheritance of this beast man Gu Immortal from Shadow Sect. He had a deep understanding of dragonfish. The dragonfish in the market might have food path Dao marks, but they also had a mix of Dao marks from countless other paths. But if he used the method in the inheritance to breed them, after many generations, a higher quality breed of dragonfish would come about. Like the copper dragonfish, it was a new species superior to normal dragonfish. What created this situation was the food path Immortal Gu formation that Fang Yuan had set up painstakingly. Fang Yuan saw that there were a lot of copper dragonfish. He placed a portion of them into Treasure Yellow Heaven. If I had just started the dragonfish business, this small quantity of copper dragonfish would not gain any attention. But earlier, I had already started selling dragonfish and even received Yu Chan's counterattack. The other Gu Immortals all know that I am in this business now. Hee. Fang Yuan thought of this and laughed. He did not need to guess to know that these copper dragonfish would create a huge commotion when they enter Treasure Yellow Heaven. Oh Yu Chan, this is my true trump card, how will you deal with it? Fang Yuan thought expectantly to himself. Chapter 1478 Success. Several days after the copper dragonfish was put up for sale, Treasure Yellow Heaven went into a commotion. What dragonfish is this? Copper dragonfish, a brand new species. I heard the seller saying that the copper dragonfish has a better effect compared to normal dragonfish. Haha, this will be quite a show. Indeed, I thought that this seller was defeated by Yu Chan. But to think that he waited so long just for this powerful counterattack. We are all going to benefit from the appearance of this new copper dragonfish species. I can deduce that this seller has a food path true inheritance. Some Gu Immortals were jealous and envious, especially those experts. The feeding of Immortal Gu was a problem that troubled not just Fang Yuan alone. Food path true inheritances were something that most Gu Immortal experts wanted, they just did not have the fortuitous encounters. However, Treasure Yellow Heaven was a safe place that even Heavenly Court was without options against. These Gu Immortal experts went to approach Fang Yuan's will instead. They directly talked about the food path true inheritance, they expressed their strong intentions to buy it. But Fang Yuan ignored all of them. He had so many inheritances in his hands, if he sold them, it would cause a huge commotion in the market, he would earn a ton of profits. But that was fueling his enemies. In the following great era, when the 5 regions chaotic war starts, anyone could become Fang Yuan's enemy. In fact, Heavenly Court was already an irreconcilable enemy. Find him, find out the identity of this seller. After being rejected by Fang Yuan, some did not give up. Some rank 8 Gu Immortals decided to collect Fang Yuan's intel and try to deduce themselves, or hire wisdom path Gu Immortals to help. An innocent man attracts greed because of his wealth. Those who were troubled by the feeding of Immortal Gu were usually the ones who had more Immortal Gu in their possession. And these people who had lots of Immortal Gu were basically the stronger ones among their peers. Food path true inheritances were not just the solution to this problem. There was also the dragonfish business. With the appearance of the copper dragonfish, Gu Immortals saw how much potential this business had as a result of the food path true inheritance. But they were bound to fail. Fang Yuan's wisdom path defense method made even one of the 3 wisdom path expert in Eastern Sea, Wan, fail his deductions. Heavenly Court and Heaven's Will were also unable to deal with him. In the past, Fang Yuan had gone into hiding because he needed to avoid deductions, but now, he no longer cared about this problem. An ordinary copper dragonfish was held in Yu Chan's hands as it struggled from time to time. Yu Chan's hands were trembling slightly, her expression was unsightly. This tiny insignificant copper dragonfish was a huge threat in Yu Chan's eyes. This was far more terrifying and severe than Fang Yuan lowering his prices. To think that the enemy is able to retaliate like this. Impressive, truly impressive, my worry was completely correct. After a long while, Yu Chan calmed down and sighed repeatedly. The appearance of the copper dragonfish was detrimental to her dragonfish business, it was a fundamental threat. The severity was extremely high for Yu Chan, she was in great danger. In fact, not just her dragonfish businesses in the entire world was challenged by this copper dragonfish. I've already tested it several times, the copper dragonfish is indeed better than ordinary dragonfish, the reason is that its body has a higher proportion of food path Dao marks. What should I do? Yu Chan bit her lips, she had a solemn expression. She had a tough personality, but after accepting the facts, she felt an intense indignant feeling in her heart. I cultivated so hard for countless years, how can I admit defeat so easily? The dragonfish business is my main source of revenue. If it goes under, my cultivation will be in huge danger. I cannot lose like this. Right, Yu-chan, am not a weak woman, how can I admit defeat so easily? Copper dragonfish, since he can nurture it, why can't I? Yu-chan clenched her fists, bright light shone in her eyes as fighting spirit burst out of her. She wanted to compete, she wanted to try and create her own copper dragonfish. That was the only way she could contest this mysterious enemy, otherwise, ordinary dragonfish would not allow her to even be in the competition. Yu-chan was not blindly confident, she had her own assurance in food path. She had once obtained a food path inheritance, but it was not as authentic as Fang Yuan's. Even though food path was barely circulated, it was not cultivated by only the creator himself. Precisely because Yu-chan had the food path inheritance, she chose the dragonfish business as her main source of income. In fact, she had been trying to modify the dragonfish's quality too, but she had not succeeded yet. But now, the modified dragonfish is right in front of me. I had no progress earlier because my food path attainment was too low. Now that I have this copper dragonfish as reference, I will be able to reverse deduce it. I will rather kill myself if I can't even do that. Hehe, you might not realize it, but your copper dragonfish will become my fortuitous encounter instead. Yu-chan was full of vigor, she researched the copper dragonfish thoroughly. For the following period of time, she was like a crazed researcher, she worked so hard she even forgot to eat her meals. On the other side, Fang Yuan was also working hard, he continued to deduce the solution to spring-autumn cicada's problem. He moved forward with difficulty like a person who had just healed from illness trying to climb a steep mountain with his weak body. It was filled with difficulty. But no matter how difficult it was, Fang Yuan's ambitions could not be doused. He progressed stably, even though each step was very difficult and yielded little result, he slowly accumulated his gains, they became increasingly useful. In this process, Fang Yuan gained a deeper understanding of how powerful the light of wisdom truly was. The more he used it, the deeper his inspiration. Bathing in the light of wisdom, Fang Yuan had unlimited inspiration, and these inspirations led him towards the proper answer. Fang Yuan's wisdom path Grand Master attainment level was also barely holding him together. Time passed quickly, half a month went by rapidly. On this day, Fang Yuan stretched his arms as he yawned loudly. Success! He had finally succeeded in finding the solution to spring-autumn cicada's problem. At almost the same time, in Eastern Sea, the Dragonfish Sea area that had no wind suddenly had huge waves and ripples. Under the deep sea, Yu-chan waved her arms around happily, she was extremely excited and joyful. I succeeded, I finally recreated the brand new species of copper dragonfish. Even though I need to use his copper dragonfish as the breeding point, once I have several of these copper dragonfish, I will be able to breed even more of them. I will not lose this dragonfish battle. What other moves do you have left? Go ahead and use them all. Chapter 1479, Parallel Refining Spring-Autumn Cicada. Sovereign Immortal Aperture, Mini Southern Border, Heaven Sealing Mountain. This was a short and unassuming mountain. The core of the mountain was hollow, there was a GU formation in it, used to seal the strength path immortal zombie body. Therefore, it was called Heaven Sealing Mountain, it was meant to seal heaven's will. Right now, Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal body was floating in the air, he was looking down at Heaven Sealing Mountain. Beside him, there was a GU Immortal, it was the variant human GU Immortal Sixth Hair. Letting Sixth Hair into his sovereign immortal aperture was something that Fang Yuan had thought about deeply. Normally speaking, the immortal aperture was an important place that needed to be kept as a secret, it was the foundation of the GU Immortal's cultivation, it would not be shown to others. But Fang Yuan had already let the Shadow Sect GU Immortals into his immortal aperture, Sixth Hair was a member of Shadow Sect too, he was worth trusting. During this period of time, Sixth Hair had done all he could to refine the immortal GU, Fang Yuan saw this and remembered it deeply. There was another point, Sixth Hair and Ying Wuxie were in contact, they were both members of Shadow Sect, they knew about the sovereign immortal aperture in the first place, and since Ying Wuxie had already gone inside, there was no need to hide it from Sixth Hair. I am going to start refining the GU. Fang Yuan breathed in deeply and said. Sixth Hair nodded. Sect leader, go ahead, I will do my best to assist you. This GU refinement involved spring-autumn cicada, it was extremely important. Fang Yuan needed the help of this refinement path GU Immortal Sixth Hair. In fact, Fang Yuan had borrowed a number of refinement path Immortal GU and Mortal GU from Langya Sect a few days ago. He set up a refinement path GU formation using all of these GU worms. This refinement path immortal formation had already been set, Fang Yuan only needed to activate it now. Fang Yuan willed as red date immortal essence was expended continuously, the immortal GU formation started to activate. Waves of white light soaked heaven sealing mountain like flowing water. A moment later, Fang Yuan multitasked and used a refinement path killer move. Boom! With a loud sound, air was pushed out as a giant golden pillar of light shot down from the sky. The golden light pillar had a grand aura. Everywhere it went, the flowing water white light was repelled, it directly penetrated heaven's sealing mountain and stabbed deep into its core. Fang Yuan's immortal zombie body was inside the mountain, the golden light pillar landed on the immortal zombie body and completely suppressed it. The immortal zombie body was creaking, as time passed, it was starting to break. Fang Yuan used his time well and stabilized the golden light pillar before taking out a living desolate beast. Crack! A sword light flew over and cut off the desolate beast's head, killing it on the spot. Puff! A large amount of blood spewed out of the desolate beast's neck, it was like a huge red fountain. The smell of blood permeated, but the golden light pillar emitted a strong attractive force due to Fang Yuan's manipulation. The blood from the desolate beast was instantly drawn towards the golden light pillar by a formless force. That desolate beast corpse soon became dried up as its blood was completely sucked away. The golden light pillar absorbed the blood and had a hint of red mixed into it. This addition made the originally grand light pillar more sinister and bloody. Kill, kill, kill. Next, Fang Yuan killed 7 desolate beasts with a tough expression, he was merciless. The golden light pillar absorbed all of their blood and became a completely red light pillar, it had completely changed. Sixth Hair nodded as he watched. He recognized that the method Fang Yuan used was called the 7 Kill Blood Path GU Refinement Method. This method came from Langya sect, Sixth Hair had heard of its name but did not know the details. Fang Yuan used Shadow Sect's inheritances to exchange for Langya sect's inheritances, obtaining this GU refinement method. He disassembled this method and only took the essence of it, after modifying it, it became very useful here. Even Sixth Hair was nodding in approval when he saw it. Fang Yuan focused on controlling the blood light pillar, while Sixth Hair also started acting. This time, Sixth Hair was assisting Fang Yuan in the GU refinement, he had a huge task. Both sides had communicated amply before this, Sixth Hair did not need Fang Yuan's reminder, he knew what to do. He took out the appropriate GU materials. These GU materials were all flowers, there were Ghostface sunflowers, wire cotton, heavenly flowers, 7 treasure flowers, milk tea flowers, iron shell flowers, boat flowers, blood poison caria, multicolored overlord flowers, green beetle water lotuses, red axe flowers, smelly fly flowers, and others. These flowers were of a variety of species, they were either big or small, some were mortal GU materials, while others were immortal materials. Sixth Hair started to use refinement path methods to process these flowers. The handling of GU materials required a great wealth of knowledge. Every flower had its own way of processing. Thankfully, Sixth Hair was a refinement path cultivator, he had a lot of experience in refining GU, as a split soul of spectral soul, he had deep foundations. It was very wise to get him to process these flowers. Time passed, after several minutes, Sixth Hair finished handling all of the flowers. He handled them well, the flowers were specially chosen and were not wasted, their essence was extracted and fused into 100 flowers concentrate. At this moment, Fang Yuan condensed the blood light pillar as it shrunk from a giant to a tree trunk-like length and thickness. The liquid is here, catch. Sixth Hair pushed as the floating flower concentrate flew towards Fang Yuan like a translucent bubble. Fang Yuan stretched his hand and easily grabbed this 100 flowers concentrate in his palm. Next, he breathed in deeply and created a new change. Winds blew as dark clouds appeared in the sky. Fang Yuan cried out abruptly as he waved his hands, throwing all of the 100 flowers concentrate into the sky. The 100 flowers concentrate entered the dark clouds as they immediately turned pink. Splash splash splash. A huge rain started to drizzle down. Fang Yuan had a solemn expression, his fingers moved rapidly, only the afterimages of his fingers could be seen waving around. The pink flower rain was drawn by the formless force, a portion fused into the blood pillar, the other was fused with the immortal zombie body, absorbed by the refinement path immortal formation. The air was filled with an intense smell of flowers. The blood light pillar that was like a tree trunk became smaller and smaller, it shrunk until it disappeared completely. Fang Yuan willed as the refinement path immortal formation activated rapidly, it was no longer as slow as before. When refining immortal GU, a refinement path immortal GU formation was very convenient. In the 500 years of his previous life, Feng Yuan did not obtain one, but now he possessed the details of a great number of refinement path GU formations. He could even use his formation path Grandmaster attainment level to modify them using the light of wisdom. He could make them the most suitable formations for the GU that he wanted to refine. The refinement path Immortal formation continued to work. Using the flower concentrate, there was a temporary connection among the Immortal zombie body, Spring Autumn Cicada, as well as GU materials. Using this chance, Feng Yuan opened the door of the Immortal formation. From the door, a wooden log flew out. This wooden log was like shining gold, but upon closer inspection, it was made of wood. There were dewdrops on the log, they looked like amber. Several delicate clouds were forming and getting destroyed on the surface of the log. This was the Immortal material, Golden Cloud Divine Wood. Like the other GU materials, it had been kept in the refinement path Immortal formation by Feng Yuan and was nourished by the 100 flowers concentrate. The refinement path Immortal formation worked as the Golden Cloud Divine Wood quickly broke apart and disintegrated into nothingness. At the same time, wooden markings appeared on the Immortal zombie body, similar to the Golden Cloud Divine Wood. Dewdrops were forming on it, resembling amber. The delicate clouds were forming on the Immortal zombie body's forehead, as well as its stomach. Feng Yuan let out a breath of turbid air, telling Sixth Hair, "Take my place." After processing the 100 flowers concentrate, Sixth Hair had been resting, until he heard Feng Yuan's orders to take over the Immortal GU formation. Feng Yuan was relieved as he quickly sat down to rest using every second of his time. Even though the refinement process seemed very smooth, it was not. Every step was like treading on thin ice. His Immortal essence expenditure was huge, and his mind was under immense pressure. Even with Feng Yuan's abilities, at this stage, he could barely continue. It was dangerous to continue in this state, thus, Feng Yuan chose to rest now and let Sixth Hair take his place in the GU refinement. Normally speaking, the GU Immortal refining the GU cannot be changed easily. Because a different person would have different Immortal essence and aura, there were many flaws in this when refining GU. But Feng Yuan had deduced this step amply, he specially designed it, there were no problems with it. Chapter 1480 A slight smile. Feng Yuan rested for a few minutes before opening his eyes. His stamina had recovered, his eyes were no longer seeing stars, he had a clear mind and his condition was much better. Sixth Hair let out a sigh of relief when he saw Feng Yuan taking over. Both of them exchanged roles perfectly, they had practiced this step many times. Right now, Feng Yuan's strength path Immortal zombie body had completely turned into a human-shaped Golden Cloud Divine Wood. Feng Yuan moved to the next step. The refinement path Immortal formation opened its door again as a huge sea urchin flew out. This sea urchin was large as a house, there were sharp spikes on its surface, like it was made of purple gold, there were countless shining spots on its body surface. This was the purple star urchin, it was a rare Immortal material. Under the effect of the Immortal formation, the purple star urchin could be seen shrinking gradually, progress was smooth. But suddenly, from the purple star urchin, there was a dazzling starlight. The starlight bounced around like a ball, moving randomly. The refinement path Immortal formation shook intensely. Feng Yuan had a stern expression as he tried to keep it under control. But there was little effect, the bouncing starlight had increased from 1 to 3, with greater disturbances, the refinement path Immortal formation shook even more intensely, there were creaking sounds coming from it. "Oh no!" Sixth Hair cried out in dismay, before shouting, moving of a single thought, blossoming of the red snake. Sixth Hair willed in his mind as red snake tattoos appeared on his skin, moving about upwards. The snake tattoos were originally at his chest, but it had moved up towards his neck now. At this moment, Sixth Hair's strength rose drastically, his eyes were bursting with brilliance, even Feng Yuan was greatly shocked. Sixth Hair charged towards Feng Yuan and helped him to control the refinement path Immortal formation. With his help, the bouncing starlight specks were destroyed one after another. Crisis averted. A while later, Sixth Hair let out a breath of air, he was in a fatigued condition. "Sect leader, it is up to you now." Saying this, he fainted on the spot. Feng Yuan was silent, he looked at the red snake tattoos on Sixth Hair's neck before turning his attention to the GU formation before him. Because of Sixth Hair's desperate save, the crisis of the GU refinement was resolved, Feng Yuan could move to the next step. The third door of the Immortal formation opened, a new Immortal material flew out. This was a rock, but the rock had natural carvings of faces. These were human faces, with men, women, young, old, they had varying expressions, some cried, laughed, screamed, or had serious expressions. Thousand-face human rock. This was the most crucial step. Fang Yuan invested all his concentration into the GU refinement. The thousand-face human rock soon disintegrated due to the refinement path immortal formation. But the faces turned into illusory shadows and flew into the immortal zombie body's aperture. Fang Yuan's aperture was full of cracks originally, but now, it changed. The cracks on the aperture walls were filled up with a thick purple gold rock. There were countless stars shining on it. There were even sharp spikes protruding from them, looking like the purple star urchin. The human faces flew around the aperture. Under Fang Yuan's control, they went towards the spring-autumn cicada at the center. Spring-autumn cicada was sealed by Fang Yuan, it could not move. The human faces rapidly went past spring-autumn cicada before flying away again. Spring-autumn cicada shuddered but was as stable as before. The human faces flew for a while as they slowly melted like snow exposed to sun. They faded into nothingness with only a small thread remaining. This thread-like thing was heaven's will. Every time the human faces flew past the spring-autumn cicada, it would be a quick refinement process that took away a portion of heaven's will from spring-autumn cicada. Human faces flew past spring-autumn cicada one after another, drawing out the sealed heaven's will. These threads of heaven's will were soon taken out by Fang Yuan and melted by the refinement path immortal formation. This process lasted a long time until the human faces were no longer able to bring out heaven's will. Heaven's will is too stubborn, far more than I had expected. Fang Yuan sighed. He directly mobilized several human faces to attack at once. The human faces surrounded spring-autumn cicada as they gritted their teeth, dragging out the threads from spring-autumn cicada. Heaven's will was sealed into the thread-like state, dragged out forcefully time and again. Spring-autumn cicada continued to shake but it was in safe hands, no cracks were developing. Fang Yuan had painstakingly created the refinement path immortal formation. It was the best method against this. After dozens of times, even if Fang Yuan controlled an army of human faces, they would no longer draw out heaven's will from spring-autumn cicada. But Fang Yuan could sense that at the deepest part inside spring-autumn cicada, a small bit of heaven's will was lingering. This bit of heaven's will was almost negligible, but Fang Yuan did not dare to let it remain. Heaven's will is truly pesky, I have to do this after all. Fang Yuan sighed, activating the refinement path immortal formation to its limits. The spikes on the aperture that resembled the purple star urchin grew furiously as they stabbed towards spring-autumn cicada from all directions. There were hundreds of spikes that stabbed into spring-autumn cicada. Spring-autumn cicada was not destroyed, instead, it was melted into a green jade liquid. The spikes absorbed this liquid instinctively. Eventually, there was only that bit of heaven's will left at spring-autumn cicada's original spot. Fang Yuan quickly destroyed it. Finally, the green liquid was forced out of the spikes and gathered at the center, into a lump. Fang Yuan stared with bloodshot eyes. He felt extreme pressure to maintain this situation. The refinement path immortal formation was at its maximum capacity. A large amount of red date immortal essence was expended at this moment. The green liquid slowly took shape, turning back into spring-autumn cicada. It was safe and sound. The only difference was that after melting and reforming, there was no longer any of heaven's will inside its body. Originally, Shadow Sect planned to raise spring-autumn cicada's rank through refinement before reverse refining it to get rid of heaven's will. But after Fang Yuan modified it, it became a parallel refinement. Parallel refinement had a much higher chance of success than normal refinement. But even so, the process was filled with difficulty. There was even a crisis that was resolved only by Sixth Hair's timely action. Seeing the spring-autumn cicada that was floating quietly in the aperture, Fang Yuan felt extremely pleased. At this point, rank 6 spring-autumn cicada had succeeded in the parallel refinement. Fang Yuan finally had full control of this legendary immortal GU. Crack, crack, the aperture was emitting this sound. The cracks were not appearing on spring-autumn cicada but the purple gold rock and spikes instead. Fang Yuan watched this. He could not, and did not want to stop this. The rock and spikes shattered and at the same time, even the aperture itself broke. Fang Yuan's aperture had truly gone through lots of turmoil. It was first pressured by spring-autumn cicada, forcing Fang Yuan to turn it into a stone aperture and dead aperture. At this moment, it had reached its limit, it shattered. This was the result of parallel refining spring-autumn cicada. It could not be avoided, and Fang Yuan did not want to avoid it either. I'll undergo tribulation like this. Fang Yuan laughed. A lump of soul appeared beside the immortal formation. The soul moved rapidly, entering Fang Yuan's immortal zombie body. The immortal zombie body opened its eyes and nodded at Fang Yuan. It was Fang Yuan's soul who occupied the body. He had used his split soul method to divide a portion of his soul. This was his first split soul. Fang Yuan smiled as he used an immortal killer move on the immortal zombie body, strength reversing life and death. This was a method that he had created long ago. It was modified from blazing heaven demoness, nirvana fire. It could allow an immortal zombie to return to human form. At this moment, the strength reversing life and death that Fang Yuan used was modified and even better than before. It was not inferior to nirvana fire. The immortal zombie body returned to life as 2 lifespan GU were tossed out by Fang Yuan. The immortal zombie body grabbed them and used them immediately. This body had been bathed in the light of wisdom for too long back in Imperial Court Blessed Land. Its lifespan was near its end. Now that he used lifespan GU, it gained a large amount of lifespan. It would not die immediately after coming back to life. The aperture shattered as a storm developed in the sovereign immortal aperture. Heaven and earth chi were starting to move. Fang Yuan did not want his clone to undergo tribulation in sovereign immortal aperture. He opened his immortal aperture door. The clone flew out and faced the calamities and tribulations head-on. Afterwards, Fang Yuan's main body kept sovereign immortal aperture and appeared in the outside world too. This was a nameless place in northern plains. Fang Yuan had chosen it after close inspection. There was nobody here and it was very safe. The immortal ascension calamities and tribulations were terrifying to most GU masters. It could be said to be a near-death experience. But for Fang Yuan, it was a piece of cake. Be it the balancing of heaven, earth, and human chi, or the assault of the tribulations, Fang Yuan was very familiar with them. Heaven was extremely furious. Fang Yuan had actually gained complete control over spring-autumn cicada. This was truly the tipping point for heaven's will. It unleashed calamities and tribulations of the highest level possible. But that was completely pointless. Fang Yuan easily dispersed the calamities and tribulations in a few attacks, ensuring that his clone got through the tribulation easily, becoming an immortal. The last time, it was strength path. Now, it was time path. The first aperture became a high-grade time path blessed land. Fang Yuan named it Spring-Autumn Blessed Land. The space in it was not large, but it had a lot of time path resources. The dark clouds pressuring him had faded. The sky was clear and sunlight shone down brilliantly. Fang Yuan and his clone stood in the air, looking at the huge grassland silently. The bitterness and difficulty faced in the 500 years of his previous life, the helplessness against heaven's will's arrangements after rebirth, the desperate struggle to survive, the tiredness he felt from trying to save Danghun Mountain, feeding immortal GU, managing his immortal aperture, and deducing killer moves. All of these feelings turned into a slight smile that appeared on both of Fang Yuan's faces. The past was like a passing smoke. All of his difficulties and pain were converted into this faint smile.